Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of Zodiac Empires, Light in the Darkness. With us today is myself, Joe Ho, who's one of the lead designers, to the first episode of Zodiac Empires, Light in the Darkness. Feeding back at me. With us today is myself, Joe Ho, who's one of the lead designers. Okay. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and try and fix it as I go. Elliot, who you'll probably recognize from Taking Waterdeep. Brad Diamond, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and you're the creative director at Zodiac Empires?
Yes, you can say I'm the brains behind operations.
Okay. John, who you may recognize from the Alice Hill and Silent Wonderland broadcast from a couple weeks back.
Yes, you can say I'm the brains behind operations.
And Rachel Withrow, also a lead designer at Zodiac Empires. Who you may recognize from the Alice Hill and Silent Wonderland. Okay, so I'm just going to turn it over to you, Joe, while I try and fix my audio. Rachel Withrow,
okay.
Also lead designer at,
Good to meet everyone. Tonight we are going to be starting to run through a module that I have called Light in the Shadow. And the purpose of this module is really to introduce players and viewers at home to the Zodiac Empires campaign setting. So the big point of this module is to learn about the setting. So please, Brad, Elliot, and John, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them. Stop me at any time if you're not sure you understand something we're referencing or whatnot, and we can explain it to you. We want you guys to get a good grasp of the world and what we're offering. But I think we're going to start by going through each of our characters and tell the audience who we are playing. So Brad B is fixing his audio. Elliot, would you like to tell us who you're playing?
Sure, I'm playing yours. Amari, or the Zodiac Empire class.
We are playing. So Brad B is fixing his audio.
I have a lot of questions regarding this race.
Tell us who you're playing?
Sure, I'm playing yours. But we can leave that till you want to do like after the session, so we're not like delaying it. I'm not sure.
I would say if it's going to interfere with how you plan to play this race, I would ask now.
I'd agree.
Otherwise, we can save it till later, and we can have a short Q&A.
And one real quick question regarding the Fero's ability to telepathy.
I would say if it's going to interfere with
I think Joe already answered this part, but when I'm communicating with someone, do they know I'm communicating with them?
We can save it till later, and we can have a short Q&A.
And one real quick question regarding the.
I think that's really it for right this moment.
Okay.
Everything we can do it later. The bard. I'm gonna do the bard things, add things, a little bit of illusion in sleight of hand, that kind of thing.
Cool. And just to clarify, it's Amorai.
Amorai. Okay.
Yep. All right. Let's next go to John M.
Okay. Am I coming through okay?
Yep.
Excellent. So I am an Inuzen.
Yep.
Is that,
Yes.
named Gust. So I have very wolfy traits. I am a nature worshiper. And I envision the character as kind of isolated from civilization as it exists. He's kind of experiencing it all for the first time, so or a lot of it for the first time.
Cool, pretty spot on. Inuzen, for those who don't know. They are a race of... They originally hail from our version of the Feywild. In our world, we call it the Vibrant. They are shape changers. They can change into a wolf or into a humanoid wolf form type deal. So they're pretty cool, very naturey, and they are very oftentimes outlanders and outsiders and experience the world for the first time. So you got that spot on. Rachel, who are you playing?
I am playing Leska. I am a Visar cleric of Olidra, who is our goddess of magic. So the Visar, they're kind of draconic. They have wings. They can fly to a certain extent. And I'm excited because I've actually never played one of these. Usually that's handled, people like jump to play for them. So I've actually never been able to play one, even in our own home setting. Exciting, yeah, kind of funny, but exciting.
I think Joe thought I wanted to be a Valsar yesterday.
There was some mixed up communication there, but we got it sorted out.
That was my fault.
No,
That's okay. And which of the Brads would like to go first?
Pick a Brad, any Brad.
Okay. Well, my audio I think is working now, so I can go ahead. I'm playing Merrick, who's Ildera. They're sort of magical cyborgs. Is that an accurate representation?
That's
That's a pretty advanced representation.
Okay.
Joe, do you want me to handle this?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So Eldera are essentially sentient crystal stone creatures.
Okay.
To dumb it down to the barest of description. Essentially, the crystals that compose your body are also composed of almost pure magic. While not in a very high concentration, it still allows quite a bit of fantastical effects, we'll say. Why your body...
Sorry about that. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Okay, why Eldera are sentient is actually unknown to the most of the world. We just know that the effect happened, but we're not quite sure why.
And Merrick, in particular, is a wizard, and he's sort of think of a Spock if he was extremely awkward. So he's all about logic and learning, but has a hard time interacting with people. He gets very nervous very easily.
Cool. Very cool. And last but not least, Brad Diamond, who are you playing?
I am playing Clarity, a Noir Paladin. To give everybody a kind of a background for Noir, as a race, they are shape changers. They have the ability to change their face to any faces around them or create entirely new ones. Their history is one of very dark intentions. They were originally controlled by very powerful entities and only recently gained their independence from being telepathically controlled within recent times. They make the perfect spies, but I'm playing a paladin, which is not unusual for Noir, but doesn't necessarily fit the role that they were created for.
Breaking stereotypes. Always fun. Alright, and I think that covers all of our players. And to kind of segue from what Brad was just talking about, our adventure tonight is going to take place at a point in Bathurst right after a very big, important historical event. And that event would be the Darkest War. The evil entities he was just mentioning that kind of created the Noir and were involved in their creation are known as the Vandials. They are kind of a demonic outsider presence. And what happened was a group of these Vandials, known as the Shattered Hand, got into the material plane and started essentially a war that the people of the material plane ended up viewing as a war for survival. The Vandals were ruthless enemies. They slaughtered thousands of people and pretty much left the world in ruins. So our adventure is going to start a few years after the Darkest War occurred, and it's a really big event in Vathis. So you can usually measure time from how far away you are. We're actually going to be starting a little closer to the Darkest War than when the campaign setting's actually going to launch. So you guys are playing in a pretty niche time period that not many people are going to actually play in, which is pretty cool.
Like a prequel.
Yeah, it's a good prequel. So, through one way or another, you've all found yourself traveling together as a party, and you are all making your way currently to a town called Solace in the nation of Vaver. Coming over the hill, you see your destination in the distance, the town of Solace. Once a peaceful farming town on the Vaveran coast, has been transformed into what looks like a fortified military base. Tall walls clearly constructed from rubble and spare materials surround the town, and archers can be seen on the ramparts watching over the crowd of people that is amassed at the front gates. Several humanoids wearing full plate usher the crowd of refugees into the town, stopping each small group or party of refugees inquiring their desired destination upon entering. You guys end up gathering at the back of the crowd as it slowly moves forward, and one of the men in armor, who the party can now see bears a pair of sentinel bracers, addresses the party in kind. "Hello there, travelers. Well now, you're more well-equipped than most. I assure you the wait won't be that long. Please just follow the flow of the crowd until you get up to the front." Kind of explain a few things. The sentinels. They are basically the United Nations if the United Nations had a standing army for Vathis. They are a global peacekeeping force, usually very well equipped, and they are all denoted by a pair of bracers with their sentinel rank and the sentinel insignia on them. So usually if you see these guys, you know, they're enforcing the law, trying to keep order and whatnot, and they've been a really active part after the Darkest War in trying to help get refugees back home and keep the peace and all that. Anyone have any questions, or anyone like to do anything while you're waiting for the crowd? Go ahead.
I'm wearing the face of a human girl. She would be in her mid-20s. You can still call me Clarity. But until I say otherwise, I'm not changing that face.
Okay.
That's only slightly creepy.
So,
Yeah.
Do we know this about you? Like, do we know?
You would know that it's my standard I'm going into town face. Mostly because in my natural form, it's very easy to spot a noir, even from a distance, and it's not something that a lot of people take kindly to. So I try to hide my face as well as I can, and I would prefer you consider me human.
I will call you Clarice.
I dislike all races equally, so it's human or doesn't make a difference. I do have kind of a background question about my character and its backstory. So some evildoers destroyed my homeland. Is that to do with the war? And do I kind of know who specifically?
Yes. My intentions with that little piece for your backstory was going to be the Shattered Hand, so the demonic forces brought destruction on whatever town or whatnot you hailed from, and you, amidst the chaos, ended up somewhere else in the world, and through one way or another found yourself here and met up with the group you're here with now. So you would probably have some disdain for any members of the Shattered Hand or Vandals or demons, especially right now.
Which most people should.
in the world do, but
Yeah, most people should.
Fair enough. I suspect I would have a rather extreme case of that.
Yes.
Now, how long has this party been traveling together?
Yeah.
Well, go ahead and say maybe 2 or 3 months together.
Okay, so we know each other pretty well.
Okay, so by now we all have a feeling for each other.
Right.
Okay, so my psychic ability and little thing isn't a secret, and his face change.
Correct.
Secret.
Yeah.
I figured that
Tell
makes
us about
it
it.
easier.
I don't know.
It makes it a little easier to travel with the noir if you guys are all relatively cool with each other. Otherwise, you might be tempted to just murder poor Clarity.
Which god is he a paladin of?
Junin.
Okay.
I am also a member of the Dark Knights.
Would you like to give a quick?
Oh yeah, I forget that. Not everybody knows what they are. All right, so the Dark Knights are. They would be the elite mercenaries of the world. Their numbers are very small, but their training is very high. They are well respected across most of the continent. They are hired often for an endless variety of tasks, most of which are used. We could say that they operate with the tip of a sword. So diplomats aren't really on their ranks, but definitely people who know how to protect individuals or hunt down outlaws or whatever have you. They're very widespread, and for the most part, most members are autonomous. They don't necessarily have to have a leader that they go to or orders that they're currently following. So there could be an endless variety of reasons why I could be with you, whether it's one of you hired me to protect you, or we just happen to be assigned to the same task, or 1,000 other reasons.
And Junin's a very honorable god, so probably be a little bit easier to trust Clarity in that case.
Okay. And despite being mercenaries, they're a mercenary group with a good reputation.
Very good reputation.
Okay.
Their honor is held to the highest degree, so there is no betrayal or any wrongdoing that is generally unaccounted for within the ranks.
Okay.
The Anusan would know them very well because they come from Aseeld, where most of the Anusan are, and they help out a lot there. They work very closely. There's less sentinels in Aseeld because most of that was taken care of by the Dark Knights.
So that probably had a lot to do with why I was willing to trust him initially at all, or even like give him a chance instead of
definitely
attacking on sight.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like, is the whole face thing? Do you have to murder people for their faces?
No, it's just a. While that would add a little bit more intrigue, it's not like necessarily a box that we wanted to force players into when playing Noir.
I was like, well, how do you make that face? That like math was like that could be really bad. In the group.
But no, I don't think I have any questions on my surroundings at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure some will come up, but I don't have anything else offhand.
All right.
So Merrick has been walking with his nose in a book the whole time, and because of that, stumbling often, but he's just determined. And now that we arrived, he looks up and says, "Are we here?"
No, Merrick. We're in the next town over. Where do you think we are?
Oh, okay. Oh, of course. Yeah. Great. Oh, there's a line.
Yes.
We've been standing in it for a while, my friend.
I wonder if there's a way around this.
Well, I guess I'll just get back to reading then if we're just waiting. Is that okay? Okay.
So as you're waiting in this line and crowd of people slowly inches forward, bit by bit, processing is clearly taking more time than a lot of people would like. You see all sorts of different races and nationalities of people in this group. Clearly, they've all been scattered for one reason or another because of the Darkest War. So you're seeing people that you wouldn't normally see all in one place. Almost every nation and every race is represented here. So you're seeing orcs, humans, halflings, elves, dwarves, tieflings.
You're saying that I'm going to do something. It's a very minor thing. I'm going to cast ritually comprehend languages and just listen, get a feel for the area. See if there's any like talk of rumors, history, what's going on in the region.
Okay. Some of the common things you're picking up is, oh, I'm really glad there are sentinels here. I feel much safer now. You hear questions, people asking like, oh, I wonder if they'll have a ship that can bring me home to Tristan, or a way for me to get back to Washu, or something like that. A lot of people, they seem relatively confused, but overall you're getting the sense that everyone's pretty comforted that the Sentinels are here and that the Sentinels are helping out.
So
yeah, that's the main thing.
I'm fascinated by what's going on, but also extremely wary. And although I can't understand the languages, I'm paying very close attention to tone of voice all around me. So I'm sort of alert for trouble, but mostly just curious about this crowd, which probably includes, species I've never even seen before.
More likely than not, yes.
I'm a little wary of strangers, so I'm keeping a close eye on everything going on around me in case I have to intervene.
Well, seeing as how we keep hearing, or at least I keep hearing about these sentinels and their reputation, I'm definitely studying them as we walk past, probably for future reasons, or just in case.
Okay.
So, are there like dozens of different languages being spoken, or is it just like 4 or 5?
I would say about a dozen different languages around being spoken. It's a pretty widespread of people. The war scattered people for all sorts of different reasons. Whole cities were destroyed, so people would board airships to flee for their lives and would end up halfway across the world and have no idea where to go from there. And it's kind of really at this point that most of your characters would realize the impact of how many people this affected. It's affected people from all over the world. And that's something that your characters would glean from the crowd as well by looking at them. Elliot, in your observation of the Sentinels, you do observe one Sentinel who kind of stands out from the others. He's the only one who's not really wearing a helmet. He's got a bald head, he's got a long, bushy, red beard, and his armor is a little bit nicer than the rest of the others, and the bracers he wears seem to denote a different rank than the rest of them. And he seems to be overlooking the crowd from a slight distance, giving commands to some of the other Sentinels, so he's clearly the guy in charge.
Got it.
Almost an hour goes by, you guys are getting close to the front, and then a loud, piercing shriek silences the dull hum of the crowd. Looking to the north, just peeking over the hill, a lone black figure can be seen. Its body is completely black, no bigger than a child's. However, at the end of each of its arms, a long pair of claws, the length of short swords, rests, clacking together. It lets out another terrifying shriek and is joined by 7 others of its kind. On all fours, the creatures begin an all-out dash towards the crowd. Almost immediately, the crowd begins to panic and rush towards the gate, and a voice is heard amongst the commotion. It's coming clearly from the red-bearded guy that you were looking at before, Elliot. Sentinels, get these people inside. We'll process them in there.
Yeah, I'm going to shake the wizard who's probably still nose deep in his books. It's like, Merrick.
Merrick, you just are looking at your book, and people are rushing by you, bumping your shoulder.
Okay.
I'll
look up, trying to figure out what's going on. And okay, and in looking around, do I recognize this thing peeking over the hill?
Why don't you go ahead and make a knowledge? What's this going to qualify as?
Arcana?
We'll go your choice, either Arcana or History.
Okay. I'll go with. Well, I mean, they're the same. Let's roll.
Yeah, so you're probably proficient with both. Good roll.
So unless I have advantage for some reason, nope.
So apparently Merrick did not encounter these in his travels. Would anyone else like to attempt a Arcana and or History roll?
Why
I
not?
possess neither of those, sadly.
I'll read. I read books sometimes, occasionally. Oh no, I have to throw this dice thing away.
I can roll history. I add 2 to that, so 19.
Okay. Luckily for all of you, Leska encountered these during her flight from her homeland of Darastrix during the war. She recognizes these creatures as Shadow Hellions. They are a lesser demon that the Shattered Hand employed as skirmishers and ground troops. They're nothing super intimidating, but they're demons nonetheless. So still bad news.
So is the crowd still surrounding us?
The crowd at this point is kind of rushed up to the gate and is at one of those points like on Black Friday when everyone's trying to crowd in at once, but they don't all fit. So there's a lot of panic going on.
Yeah, I'm definitely trying to immediately disentangle myself from the crowd, and if it helps, I will wolf shape to like slide through or to even growl threateningly.
Okay.
If I think it will help.
If you go into wolf shape, I will give you advantage on an intimidate check. And
Clear a path.
based on that, we'll see how well you clear a path for the group.
Okay, and I apologize, I'm new to Roll20, so I'm not quite sure how to make the roll.
There's a tab for stats in the character sheet. Next to that, skills. All your skills are in there.
Right,
Intimidates the
yeah, so I
bottom left of the big stack at the top.
Although, I think you just have the PDF version, you don't have it.
I just have, yeah.
Roll20.
Then
And I also forgot to grab myself some dice. So I'm well.
Well, you don't need dice.
Yeah, no, I just need to
roll. Handle it for you.
So it's a D20 roll, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So on the upper left-hand side of your screen, there's a bunch of icons. The second from the bottom is a
I've got it. I just did the roll.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can do those. Yeah. So I rolled a 19.
You do have advantage, however, I don't think you're going to need it.
Yeah, and I even have a +1 skill. So
fantastic. So Gus transforms from his normal humanoid form into his wolf form and snarls at the crowd. You startle a family of half-orcs who are walking by, and the little boy half-orc starts crying, and the mother picks it up and runs off, kind of scoffing at you. No one else seems to get in your way, and there's a nice clear path to kind of outside this crowd here.
okay, I'm gonna dart down that path, and I'm gonna throw up a few ley lights to catch the attention of my my group to sort of direct them. You know, this is where I'm going, and I'll put some ahead of me to keep people out of the way.
Okay.
Yeah. Do we have line of sight to this happening?
Yeah, you guys were all standing close together, so you can see all this happening. You get a good glimpse of Gus shooting up his ley lights.
Well, I mean, I'm more concerned with the fact that he just scared us a small family of people. Like, really?
You know me well enough by now to know that I am, as I see these guys, I want to kill them, and it's do not get in my way at that point.
That's fine. That's fine. But
It was for their own good.
Yes, exactly. I'm getting them out of the battle zone.
Fine.
That's how I rationalize it to myself at night, anyway.
Well, I follow the running wolf.
Yeah, I see you going. I see the wolf already ahead. I'm gonna look into the two. Like, shall we, boys?
Right. Let's see. Oh dear, I guess we're doing this, huh? And I'll follow the path.
As you
Chest is open.
reach the outskirts of the crazy crowd, the one sentinel turns and looks at you emerging from the groups. You there, you all seem more equipped than the rest of this lot. Can you give us a hand? My men can cover the refugees' escape. Think you can handle those things? He gestures towards the creatures, and before you have a chance to answer, you look, and he's already turned back to the crowd and is yelling commands and shoving people forward, telling his men to get these people inside, get them to safety.
Oh, he misses my nervous smile. Sure.
I was like, I'm getting ready to say something. He turns around and starts shouting. Like, well, okay.
I'm kind of ignoring him anyway, so I'm mostly aware of my target, which is the enemy. As soon as I am totally free from the crowd, how far off are they? Do I have time to shift back?
You do have time to shift back if you'd like.
Okay, so I'd like to shift back and ready my longbow.
Okay. And with that, you turn, see the creatures coming towards you, and I am going to have you guys roll for initiative.
Initiatives. You guys are definitely in there.
6.
So I have +2 to my initiative, so 11.
Wow, nice initiative, Brad.
I'm staring at the sentinel who turned his back on the danger and sighing.
He's just catching up. That's all. He's catching up.
There we go.
It's all that heavy armor.
He was a little more concerned about the crowd's well-being than I was.
Bunch of zeros.
Gus got a...
If we give them all longbows, we can take them out quicker.
John, that 9 is your initiative roll?
It was, and then I have a +2, which I forgot to put in when I
Okay.
did the actual roll.
That is perfectly fine. Let's see where these guys go. All right. All right. So, Theoris, you are actually up first.
All right. Well, seeing as how everyone's in such a bloody hurry, I'm going to get in the first shot. I'm going to pull out my handy-dandy crossbow.
Yeah.
Take a shot.
Too many gears and pulleys.
It doesn't hurt to have it ready, though.
Ooh, good shot.
And I'm going to do the brave thing and run away. I got first.
Your crossbow bolt flies out and hits the creature square in the chest. It falters in its charge a little. And that one kind of looks like it's limping pretty bad now. But the creatures appear to keep on running. So they are going to Up now.
Am I up? Where's that?
You would look that the creatures are coming towards us. This is the part I was dreading. Also the
wait
part
till we
I
get to the
apparently
bleeding.
wasn't paying attention for.
Okay. So I'm. Oh.
I was really hoping this red-haired guy would have been inside already. Because the bard has a plan.
All right. Next up, Merrick and Gus. Which one of you has the higher dexterity?
I have a 15.
It's all you.
Is it?
Yep. So Gus, you are up next.
Okay. I am going to target the injured foe with my longbow. And let's see. So I've got a +4 attack bonus from that. And I believe also a +2 from my dex. Is that correct, or is that already worked in there?
I believe it's already worked in there on the
Okay.
sheet.
So just a d20 +4. Correct. Not so happy. So
Fortunately, that's a miss.
yeah. I curse under my breath.
All right. We come to Merrick.
Okay. There are entirely too many of these guys. Perhaps the situation would be better if a couple of them maybe fell asleep? I'm gonna cast sleep.
Perhaps it would be. Where
That
are
would be
you going?
nice.
Where are you going to center your sleep spell?
Let me see.
20-foot radius.
Oh, okay. Just right in the center of them.
Okay.
Not real high.
Oh, yeah. Foolishly, I don't think I
5d8.
put the roll in there. Okay. Okay, 20?
All right.
That's the exact even roll.
So, as you cast your sleep spell, a few of the creatures do seemingly slow their charge and kind of settle down like a cat would, all curled up. One of them even starts purring a little. And the 3 denoted are the ones that have fallen asleep.
Okay. Settle down, little demons. Settle down.
We come to Leska.
Alright, I'm going to charge up to this guy. No, the one next to him. You get what I mean.
She's doing her thing.
And unless a 9 hits, I probably miss with my great club.
9 does, in fact, miss, unfortunately.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little overzealous. I just kind of go over its head.
Yeah, welcome to the club. Why we fit well together.
Right.
And Clarity, you finally realize that there's a battle going on. And you take your turn.
I will charge the one directly in front of me and attack it. Let's see how this turns out. Please don't roll as low as the last one. And if an 11 hits, which I doubt,
11 does not hit.
The dice are
Come
betraying us.
close.
We're horrible role players.
please don't put me in the front line. I don't know what I'm doing.
be okay.
I'm reaching
When
for
the
my
paladin asks not to be in the front line, it's when you should start to worry. All right, we
Yeah.
come back around to Feoris.
All right. Who are these two again? The two at the front, Clarity and
Me.
Leska?
Yes.
Okay, one's a paladin, one is a
Cleric.
Cleric.
cleric. Definitely gonna give the cleric some bardic inspiration. Boom. Take a d6. Bonus action. Then as my actual action, I'm gonna use minor illusion to try and mimic this red guy's voice and yell at and like make the illusion pop right between these two archers up here and tell them, "What are you two idiots doing? Fire at the demons!"
Okay. I will let you do that. Go ahead and make a
Deception.
make a deception roll for me.
See how that works. Oof, not very well.
I'm gonna give you advantage, and honestly, they hear a voice yelling at them, and they seem to stir a little bit and start readying their crossbows. I'm gonna give that to you just for the fact that they are sentinels. You are calling them out and not doing their job of, protecting the people. So they're gonna wisen up and do their duty because they think, even if it's not our sergeant, if our sergeant finds out we were just kind of lollygagging, we might get in trouble. So they are going to stir. Let's see where they end up on
I'm
the
a bard. I
roll.
pay attention to people and
Ooh, they're gonna be a little slow.
there's two more archers on the side.
All right. And anything else you'd like to do, Feoris, or is that it?
Oh god, just stretching. That's it. I'm done.
Okay.
Closet.
We come to the Hellions.
Me again?
Ooh, not quite.
Oh, no.
Creatures
Oh,
are going.
them, yes.
All right. So we are going to have 2 attacks on you, Leska.
Oh no.
Does a 15 hit your AC?
No, it does not.
Okay. Ooh,
No.
does a 23 hit your AC?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course.
Take 6 points of damage.
Ouch. Okay.
Okay, and then 2 coming your way, Clarity. The dice decide to roll. Clarity does a... can do math, I swear. 15 hit your AC. Clarity.
No, it does not. He lost his audio somehow.
Oh, okay.
He lost it in the war.
Give him a second.
Gotcha. The second attack is a... that would be a 17.
You can just yell.
Ooh, near miss. So the creatures attack and they graze your armor, Clarity. And then one actually does manage to get up to you, Gust, and makes an attack on you as well. Does a 13 hit.
My armor class is 13.
Just hits ya.
Yeah.
4 damage.
4 damage. Ow. Whoops. All right. Ouch.
You come to Gust. Can have your vengeance against these creatures.
It's my. Sorry, I'm. Okay. I am going to. Cast and entangle, I think. Which I probably should have done right off the bat, but I want to try and center it so that the front rank of NPCs is, or of PCs rather, is not affected, but the 4 in front are. So
Okay. What is the?
It's a 40-foot radius.
40 foot. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I'm not sure how to. I'm like looking at the spot on the map. Whoops.
40 foot radius. Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that. Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Cool.
And I'll call out. Somebody kill the one that's killing me.
You got it. You got it. Turn into a wolf.
Oh. Well, standard action. So I think I'm already.
Turn into a wolf. What are you doing?
There.
Hey.
Should cover your entanglement. I think
Yep.
it also gets this guy a little bit too. So even the sleeping ones are entangled.
Hooray.
Poor kitties.
They're just being wrapped in vines. Like blankets.
And can you refresh me on what entanglement does? Does it just impede their movement, or?
Let me pull up the wiki real quick. I've got another window. So okay. One standard action, range, long. Okay, plants in a 40-foot radius. Twist and entwine, so it's a creatures in the. Okay, sorry. Okay, so plants grow around them. They become entangled. They can break free and move half its normal speed by using a full round action to make a DC 20 strength check or a DC 20 escape artist check. A creature that succeeds on a reflex save, is not entangled but can still move at only half speed. Each round on my turn, the plants once again attempt to entangle all creatures that have avoided or escaped entanglement. And it's 1 minute per level, so it's going to last 1 minute.
Okay. We're actually going to say that when you cast it, this tree, even though it's dead, the branches start growing out and kind of make like a
It starts grabbing.
thorny cage around them.
Excellent. I like that very much.
Use our surroundings a bit, spice it up.
Yeah. Maybe the trees on both sides do a little bit.
Yeah, I like
Reach
that.
in.
Cool. And anything else you'd like to do, or?
If I can do it, so can I take an additional standard action? They're each half a. I'm sorry, it's been a while since I played D20 either.
That's okay. What action is casting that spell?
So
Standard?
entangle, I believe, is a standard action.
All right, so you have a move action and a bonus action remaining.
Gotcha. So I think I'm going to move back, actually. And can I just drag myself? I'm going to make sure that I am behind my peers because I am most effective.
I will let you know if you do move away, you will take an attack of opportunity.
Oh, right, because of, forgot. I don't have any additional defense as a wolf or anything, so... I'm kind of stumped.
Okay, you can stay put if you
Anything I
like.
can do. Yeah,
Since he's new, can I give him like a couple of pointers real quick?
please.
Yeah, feel free.
All right. I don't know if are you a druid?
Yes, correct.
Okay, I'm pretty sure your wild shape is a bonus action. Pretty sure at least.
I don't think you get wild shape until level 2.
Right, I'm using my racial ability, which, let me double check, which is a standard action, but does not provoke an attack of opportunity.
And then, I guess that does. Since
I do more damage in human form right now anyway, so...
and if you transform your HP, it goes back to whatever the maximum of that creature is. Which could help you out.
That would be for wild shape.
Oh, okay, but not for
Oh,
his.
it's not for his racial ability? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So, yeah, it doesn't seem like there's much I can do without putting myself at risk. So I will begrudgingly put my faith in my comrades to keep me from from getting bowled over.
Okay. Okay. We go to Merrick.
Okay. So which of the conscious ones are most wounded?
The
If I can tell.
conscious ones, none of them have been wounded yet. We had a
Okay.
whole bunch of misses. This one here is the only one that is not currently entangled.
Okay. And who's the person right behind me?
Me,
Okay.
the ball.
That's your bard.
Yes.
Okay.
But this
So,
is the spot.
I'm gonna firebolt that closest one.
Okay. Go ahead and make your spell attack.
Yeah,
Dice
not so
are
much.
not liking you guys today.
Yeah. And I'll take a move action to be cheeky and move farther back.
We have a game of leapfrog going on at this point.
I can
I'm going to
respect
say
it.
at this point, just to kind of refresh what's going on here, good number of these people have made their way inside since the battle seems to be pushing this way. We actually, Merrick, if you are done, we can go to Lesko while I move these guys.
Is that okay?
Merrick, Brad,
Hmm?
Can you hear us?
Yes.
They were asking, can they move on to Leska's turn?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Oh no, that's fine. I'm gonna try to hit the one right in front of me that I missed. Not very happy about it. It's actually
Okay.
the one to the left. I don't know why it keeps pinging that one.
Yeah.
And I will use my bardic inspiration on that, which is a d6, right?
Yep. Yeah, that to your d20 roll.
I'll roll that first.
Okay.
So a total of 10.
Fortunately, that does not hit.
Man, we're rolling horribly.
Don't feel
Dice
bad.
are not-
All of us have today.
Yeah. It's like what
All
happened this happened to us at Gen Con. It was pretty rough.
At this point, the archers that Phaeorus had cleverly inspired take aim and shoot at two of the beasts. So let's see how they do. One of them misses. However, this guy scores a pretty solid hit on this one. So let's see how much damage he does.
Where you go? I think these little guards are better than us.
They are sentinels.
They are definitely outperforming me.
Alright, so that crossbow is going to deal 6 damage to him. So the one right in front of you, Gust, you see a crossbow bolt fly right into its arm, and it kind of looks at it. You get the sense that it's sad that it got shot by a crossbow bolt. And we are going to go to Clarity.
Yay! I will attack the one here because I would like him to not die.
Oh my god.
And next turn, please.
What is happening?
The dice gods are not with me this evening.
RNGesus has failed us.
All right. We go to Phaeorus.
All right.
Can he save the party?
All right. What Phaeorus is going to do now that he's inspired some people? Move over here. Move over yonder. So you can get a better view. He's gonna copy a spell straight from Eric's book. And I'm going to put a group of these guys to sleep. Yeah, from like right there. I'm aiming for these 4 dudes essentially.
Okay.
And boom. 30 HP.
Wow.
Nice.
Good roll.
Okay, somebody wants to kill things tonight.
That was a really
Not
good
kill, just
Yeah,
put
that
to
was
sleep.
really good.
No, I'm lullabying them. What are you guys talking about? I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Hey, I was gonna say we're very humane. We're putting them all to sleep.
Yeah, and we're not going to kill them in their sleep at all. Not at all.
Gus might have different ideas than that. All right.
I'm not too concerned about whether they suffer, just as long as they die.
True.
And then as a bonus action, I'm going to give my other bardic inspiration to the druid, who I saw took a nice little wallop earlier.
Yes. Thank you.
And that should help him do things and stuff.
And stuff.
Awesome.
For me.
Okay. That brings us to the Hellions' turn.
The only one not asleep, the most important one.
There are only 2 who are not asleep,
That's
so
right.
one is going to take a swing at Leska again. Does a 15 hit you?
No.
Okay. And then Gust, does a 7 hit you?
Armor class 13. So,
That is a no. They're clearly a little woozy since all their friends are being put to sleep by such soothing bardic music, so they swing and miss both times. And we actually go to you, Gust.
all right, I will try and plant an arrow right in the one closest to me. So rolling. Oh,
Nice.
That is a hit.
Oh yay!
yay!
Yay.
One of us are useful.
Oh, don't judge me yet.
I saw
The roll that really counts.
I can do damage.
Oh yes. So it's what, D8 for a longbow or no? What is
I
it?
believe so.
Yes, it is 1d8.
It is okay. Perfect.
6 damage. And if you remember correctly, this one was already struck by a crossbow bolt. So with the extra arrow, fired almost point blank right at him, the shadows kind of dissipate for a second, and then what's left is what looks like almost tatters of black rags almost left on the ground where the creature used to be.
Oh, you hit him with a crossbow or ranged weapon?
Yeah.
Cool.
Got him with a bow and arrow.
Okay.
Nice.
Making him extra sad.
Extra sad.
Anything else?
Oh, I don't need to. No, I think I'm just going to hang here.
Okay. Merrick, we come to you.
I'm gonna once again rely on Firebolt on the one that's still wakey.
Okay.
I'm guessing an 11 isn't really gonna do it.
That is a miss. Your firebolt flies past the creature and hits one of the branches and Gust's entanglement spell and gets singed a little bit.
Okay.
I'll see if we start a fire in there. It could be useful.
That could be good or bad.
Could be very bad. Yes.
Look around us, guys. I don't think a little fire is going to make a difference.
All right.
Good point.
Then I think we're gonna go to Leska then.
How injured is the Inusin?
The Inuzen.
I'm feeling pretty rough, but it looks like I'm not ready to fall over yet. I could probably take at least one more heavy blow like the one I took.
Okay. In that case, I'm gonna cure wounds on myself because I took a pretty big hit earlier.
Okay.
And I don't want to go down because then I can't heal anybody else. So it's 6 HP. Back at full. Good to go.
Cool.
And I'm just gonna stand where I'm at. Huh?
Are you life domain?
You know what? Is this on my sheet here?
She is not life domain. She is light domain.
Oh, okay. That would explain why that's not on there.
Yeah. If she was life domain, it'd be different. That's all.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks for bringing that up because I forgot.
All right.
All the time.
The Sentinel archers take aim and fire off another 2 crossbow bolts. They both manage to land hits.
So yeah, hopefully they can hit something that's not moving.
I'm getting beaten by town guards. What is this?
They're sentinels.
Town guards!
They've got the height advantage, and they're safe.
One of them scores a very minor hit on just like one of the creature's flanks, and the other one nails the Shadow Hellion right in where its head would be. I say where its head would be because these things don't really have faces; they're just a big mouthful of teeth. But with that, the Shadow Hellion also dissipates, and you are all left standing over 6 Shadow Hellions that are all sound asleep.
I'm going to say that we dispatch them one by one.
Yeah, can we just like let the Anus and pick them off?
Oh, I would love that. Yeah, I would love to just like rip each one of these apart as quick as I can. Wolf
Take
shape.
your time.
Yeah, I'll wolf shape and then just shred them to pieces.
All right, very minimal effort.
Yes.
Oh, that's perfect.
That is so appropriate.
I'll quickly make a sketch of one of the ones, the last one that's seems to be lined up for slaughter for posterity.
Okay.
Now, these guys are not in humanoid shape at all, right?
What was that?
These things are not humanoid shaped.
Oh, not really. They walk on all fours. They're very
Crazy
clearly
claws.
demons. Leska, I believe, got the successful history check earlier, so she could tell you that they're members of the Shattered Hand. They're not friendly at all, and there's no reason to try and interrogate them. They're not intelligent in the slightest.
I was more asking for ulterior motives in the future.
Okay, gotcha. Gust, are you dispatching them in wolf form or in human form?
I'm dispatching them in wolf form.
All
I
right,
change and then just tear them apart like a savage animal.
I
perfect.
love it.
I think whenever he puts on the hat, that's when he's letting you know he's
That is that's the wolf form, right?
I love it.
This
That's
could be a
great.
standard.
So, as Gust is ripping apart these shadow beings one by one, the rest of you take a moment to catch your breath and kind of look around. At this point, all the people have made it inside the town, and the man with the red beard emerges from the gates, running out to you with a sword drawn. After he sees that the situation is under control, he kind of slows down.
Are you guys familiar with
Okay.
by chance?
With
Hmm?
I'm sorry.
Spaceballs.
Oh yes.
I had the intention, the inclination to do another minor illusion on the guards, like keep firing, assholes. But
I don't watch that movie.
it's not as comical if you guys aren't familiar with the reference.
I got it.
And Merrick opens his mouth to make a snide remark about the guy arriving just in time, but then doesn't because.
Not me. It's like, oh, look at the big hero showing up just.
Typical guards, right? Typical
Right.
NPC guard.
Useless.
All right, he walks over to you all.
As he's walking up, I'll say, hey, thanks for the guards supporting us. And I'm going to point over to the guys on the wall.
He addresses all of you. Yes, I'm glad my men got off their butts and decided to help you out there. They should know better. They're sentinels, after all, even if they are fresh ones. That was a battle well fought, though, my friends. I'm sorry I couldn't have joined you on the field myself. We weren't properly
I roll my eyes.
I am Sergeant Endrick Hargrove of the Vata Sentinels. I am in your debt, my friends.
Does this happen often?
Ever since the end of the war, we've seen incursions from remnants of the Shattered Hand. Demons, occasionally Noir, sneaking around trying to do who knows what.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those guys are-
We should do something about that.
They're horrible.
But please, allow me to show you my gratitude. Where are you all headed?
Whoa. We just got here. You can buy us dinner first.
I'm headed anywhere where I can find more of those things to slay.
Or maybe if you have a library.
I like libraries.
I do have a library. It's near where my private quarters have been set up in the town hall. There's a good number of books there, if that's what you're looking for. Allow me to extend the invitation to stay in the nicer quarters that are near my own, as thanks for fending off those creatures.
It's like, it's just one more story for us to tell. You know, one more novel, one more chapter in my famous novel.
Another stanza of your song.
Of course.
Brave Sir Fioras bravely ran away.
I had to inspire the troops. I'm gonna point up to the two guys up the top of the wall. The two guys. Yeah, those guys.
I mean, he did put everyone to sleep, so.
I can't complain. I mean, yeah.
I have that effect on people, especially. Oh wait.
You have the voice of a songbird.
Free accommodation sounds nice.
Indeed.
So Endrick leads you all into the town. Walking through the town, you can tell that there's obviously more people here than the town was built for. Also, you can tell that many of the buildings that the town used to call full are no longer standing. The town is clearly ruined from the war. Many of the taller buildings have collapsed or been destroyed, and it looks very makeshift. A lot of structures made of rubble, some mere like tents and stuff over cots and whatnot that people are sleeping on. Everyone seems to be well cared for, and you don't see anyone without blankets or a roof over their head or whatnot, and there are sentinels patrolling all over the town. Endrick leads you to one of the largest buildings that's left standing in the town and shows you inside. He shows you where your beds will be for the night, and then walks with you to his quarters, where he shows you the library that is there that you guys asked for. If there's anything at all that you need, please just let me know. I can get you food, water, anything. We are in your debt. You saved many lives today.
Wine?
Wine, of course. I can bring you some wine.
Yes.
And with that, Endrick walks out of the room to leave you guys in the library and to fetch the wine.
So this is a city. It smells.
Most of them do.
It's like,
I don't like it a bit.
smells a lot like the forest smell right now, my friend, of embers.
I guess every place is burning,
Yes, I assume so.
but not every place has buckets of sewage being dumped out of windows.
True. But not a lot of us go in the woods.
There's like a few bit from time to time walking the forest.
I'm going to want to like take my sleeping gear up onto a roof or something. I'm definitely going to want to be under the stars.
Okay.
The whole sleeping inside thing, upon consideration, I'm not into it.
Very cool. Okay.
And now that it's too late to do any good, I'm gonna study up on shadow demons. Curious.
Yeah, you never know. They could be right outside the gate.
Yeah, we can meet more in the morning.
Merrick, you learned that had you only uttered one simple phrase, they all would have become your willing slaves. No, not really.
Maybe that's in an appendix somewhere. Oh, sorry.
Churches still around? Is everything? I mean, could I find like a church of Eladra or a library or something? Well, this is a library, but you know what I mean.
If you go wandering a little bit, you can find a few groups of people who have kind of assembled to pray to one god or another. There's actually a lot more faiths in this one little town than you would normally find in a civilization in Bathus, as refugees are performing various religious rites and ceremonies as they see fit amongst the town. You're looking for Eladra, correct?
Yes.
Yes, you would indeed be able to find a couple. We'll go with a couple Amorai who are worshipping Eladra and going about religious practices. And if you approach them, they will gladly invite you to join in.
Yeah, I would join them.
I steer clear of the Amorai and stick with our Inuzen.
Up on the roof.
Would you like to explain to the class why you stay clear of the Amorai? Give a little historic background?
Sure. In the Darkest War, the Amorai have the ability to read minds, something that easily detects a noir. Something I would rather keep to myself.
Well, at
Yeah,
this
what could go
point,
wrong?
I was gonna say we are. I'm an Amorai, and we've been traveling together for a few months. By now,
Yeah, but I know you. There's a difference.
Fair enough. I just
Right.
people.
There's a big difference between having a stranger poking around in my head and having someone I know.
Is there?
I should think so. It's rather
I should
interesting.
hope so.
The enemy you don't know or the enemy you know? That's a real question.
Mhm.
I'm messing with you.
And someone you know knows where in your head to look.
Yeah,
for
that's
all those
true.
Dirty secrets, but it's okay.
From my character, I'd
Well, at
wanna-
this point, if I did not trust Fiora's, I wouldn't still be around.
Yeah. But from my background, I'd be wandering around. I'd use comprehend languages to listen to people, essentially, get a feel for what's going on. I'd probably spend the last spell slot healing somebody, just because.
All right. So is everyone generally kind of wandering the town, kind of seeing what's around, observing things, getting the general lay of things?
Well,
That's
I'm
not
observing
really.
from on high. I'm not traveling. I
Okay.
didn't like the crowd a bit, and I'm not going to mingle with them if I can avoid it.
That is
But I do
perfectly
want
fine.
to check it all out, so I am up on the roofs.
All right.
Then I'm glued to the library.
Glued to the library. Gotcha. Let's see.
So many dead trees. What's the point?
It is the
All
most
right.
glorious thing that could be done to a tree.
Well, it serves
Yeah,
a purpose, I
yeah.
suppose.
I would just take it easy for the rest of the night unless something happens. I would come back and find the party eventually. Whether it's the library we're grouping up in or
Two of them sitting on a roof.
Yep.
right.
Eventually,
Drinking ale, and kicking back.
as the day passes and the night grows near, I'm really bad with names, even though I wrote it down.
Is it the guy that starts with an
I
E?
hate that.
It happens to the best of us.
Endrick.
Endrick.
Endrick, the sentinel who you met before, gathers you all up, presents you with a bottle of wine and a meal, and thanks you again profusely for helping with the battles. He addresses you all over dinner. This is, the town of Solace has turned into somewhat of a waypoint for refugees. Us being on the coast, we are a prime place for ships to dock, and we've even established a makeshift airship dock for airships to come and help ferry people back to their homelands. I've been trying to keep records of everyone and where they want to go so we can get everyone to the right place, but after that attack today, there's a bit of a mix-up. I hate to be any more troublesome than I already was asking you to help in that combat, but if you all wouldn't mind, it would be a great deal of help having a few extra eyes and ears to kind of sort out the crowds tomorrow in the morning. I'll pay you handsomely for it, too.
I don't see why not.
Yeah, I'm going to use my telepathy and talk to him at this point and say, we'll be having your help again, such as today.
Woo.
Clever trick, Amorai. Clever trick.
I don't know how familiar people are with Amorai's psychic.
Oh,
They
they're
are pretty familiar.
yeah. They all know that you can do it.
Yeah, if you live in a city, which this kind of is, I guess, especially with all the refugees, they'd be used to it.
Okay.
And any sentinel who's like
Worth his salt.
decent rank should know everything about all the races. They're decently educated force, so. Alright, so you all managed to sleep the night away. That'll give you guys a long rest, so all your hit points are regenerated, all your spells come back and whatnot. Everything that goes along with that.
Hurrah!
Alright.
And in the morning, Endrick finds all of you. Oh, Gus, you do sleep on the rooftop of the building you guys are in. No problem, under the stars like you requested.
Excellent. I would the same.
But in the morning, he finds all of you. Alright. So me and my men have a good portion of the group. There's a few of the refugees who are down by the gates who we haven't accounted for yet. All I really need from you is to go down, get their names, and find out where they're going for me, and we can get them squared away and all taken care of.
All right. Do they give us breakfast?
Yes, it gives you breakfast as well.
You better.
Well, we're being commissioned. I hope we're being fed too.
Yeah, I hope so.
I'm curious, do Ildera eat normally? Or do they
You
have-
can if you want, but your body does not require it.
Oh, okay.
Do you feel like using up breakfast, I guess?
No, that would be illogical.
You can regurgitate it for someone later, like a mama bird.
The small orc family.
Yeah, exactly.
To kind of give a little background on Eldera, just because I think they're really cool in the sense that they can choose to eat if they want to or not. What Eldera are is... So magic in Vathis is controlled by a power called the Ether.
Mhm.
Eldera is essentially the Ether experiencing itself. That's how we like to describe it.
Cool.
So they are like Ether incarnate. So it's kind of like they have their own personalities, but they tend to be very curious, and they tend to like to experience things because they don't experience emotions and whatnot in the same capacity as most other races.
They don't need a lot of reason to be persuaded to do things. They just kind of do it. Why not?
They like trying new things. And also, they don't age, really. Like, not...
They don't die of old age. They don't
Yeah.
need to sleep, eat, or breathe.
So they have plenty of time to go through and experience, like, anything they want to. You'll have an Eldera who lives for 50 years being a farmer, and then decides, I'm tired of farming, I want to try being a potter. And he goes and he decides to be a potter for another 50 years. So they can be a very long-lived race and experience a whole lot in their lifetimes.
Also, keep in mind that they're unable to reproduce.
Yes, that is another.
Generally, don't really care about gender.
Okay.
Where do babies come from?
Straight from the
That is a conversation we can have after we're done playing.
Yeah, that's a big.
Well, I'm more
Well, no,
curious.
I mean, I know.
They eat. They don't. Do they have a digestive system?
Not in the way that me and you would think of it.
How do they like sustain themselves? Like, since they don't have to eat anything, like how do
All
they?
right. So you know how he said it's the ether experiencing itself?
Yeah.
The magical crystals that are part of their body sustain them in all manners.
Okay.
So they're just feeding off the energy of the universe all the time.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a very
Actually,
good
that's a
way.
perfect example.
You were very excited about that, Brad. You were.
The universe.
Give him the signal.
All right. So you all head down to the specified area that Enderic told you about, and you see a decently large group of refugees amidst different hovels and whatnot, and sitting around. And like he said, he wants you all to kind of get a good idea of who they are, how many there are, where they're going, and whatnot. So, would you like me to describe each group and you guys can choose which ones you go up to, or do you want to just kind of go one by one and talk to each little group as we go?
I'm leaving this entirely up to you, the rest of you. Interaction with, humanoids is not my forte.
Do we have a standard set of questions we have to ask them?
You need to find out where they're from, where they're going, and how many are in their party.
Can we just say that we do it to all of them?
I mean, if they're filing through, eventually we're just gonna make it a.
Some will answer you openly.
Who, what, why? How many? Who, what, why? How many?
All right, we'll go one by one. So the first group that comes up, Gus, you actually recognize these three. It is actually the orc family who you frightened while in the crowd.
This orc family.
The what looks like the mother picks up the daughter at the sight of you and kind of backs off, and
I give the daughter a big, toothy, big bad wolf grin.
the father steps forward. How may I help you? He inquires.
I'll nod over at Fiora's. He's a people person. And then just kind of stand there and...
We all look at the Amorai at the same time.
What? I've tried this before, and every time I try something, he's eating somebody, you're pushing people around, and no one listens to the nice guy. Well, fine. Let me try my method then. So I'm going to pull out my pan flute. I'm going to start playing a little bit.
You're playing, the orc daughter kind of perks up, smiles, and kind of claps along to your playing happily.
And I'm going to play like a little tune. I don't know if you want me to roll a performance check or not. Whatever. I'm going to play a little tune, maybe for like 2-3 minutes. And when she's done, when she's all happy, I'm just like, so, can we try that again? I'm meeting like eye to eye level with the kid, and I'm talking up to the mother. Like, can we try this again on a friendlier note, even? Who, what, where, and why?
And how many?
And, and what he's saying.
But we should be able to count them.
He's not so bad of a guy. He's just not tactful.
The father steps forward. It's just us three. We're from Rankagesh and we're trying to get back home. I'm but a farmer. I don't have much, but if we heard that passage here was free to get back to our homelands.
As far as I know, there's no toll.
I also have a request. There is a man. He kind of gestures to one of the little shanty tents that's a little nearby. He's from Osept. He's been giving us strange looks ever since he settled here. We asked that we could maybe get a guard or someone to watch over, or an assurance that he won't cause any trouble with us.
Oh, I'm sure we can spare the manpower for that.
I'm sure the Sentinels will keep an eye on you.
So,
Thank you.
are there any like sentinels in the immediate area?
There are sentinels kind of walking around, doing patrols. You can see them basically everywhere. They're pretty heavily concentrated, as this is a heavy refugee camp.
Okay.
So, do we see the person they're referring to, or just his or her tent?
You do kind of get a glimpse of a man sitting in a tent that the orcs gestured to. This man, he has darker skin, kind of long, flowy, exotic robes on, scimitar at his side, and you also see kind of strange to you, definitely, Gus. Others might be a bit more familiar with it. He has two individuals next to him who both appear to be in chains. They're both human. And the reason this isn't super surprising to most of you is, as the orc described, this man is from Osept. Osept is the one nation in Vathis that really still endorses slavery.
I think it's worth noting that they're from Ronkagesh, and Ronkagesh as a nation is actually born and created from former slaves who broke off and rose to their own independence.
So Australia, basically.
Yes, but with a much closer Britain.
So you can kind of get the sense that the orcs, the Ronkagesh orcs, are a little wary of the Oception guy because he's got slaves there, and very, very well possible that some of these orcs, like ancestors, were slaves at one point. So you kind of understand a little tension there.
But there's no real reason to worry because he doesn't wish to. The slaver doesn't wish to harm them, just sell them.
True. Well, it's also a good thing to note that Oceptions can't enslave people outside of their own borders.
Oh, okay.
So they can't just go to a different country, take some people, and go back, and everything's hunky-dory.
I think the key there is they're not supposed to.
Right.
Yes.
Right, they're not supposed to. They're likely from a long family of slaves. If I were to take a random guess, that would be my guess. Are they a part of the group so we need a context next?
The Oception is one of the people you have to count and talk to.
Okay.
You're going to go up to them next?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
The Oception is there, sitting with the two clearly slaves who are just kind of sitting, not really moving around much, just kind of sitting and watching. He looks up at you. Aye, how can I help you?
Who? Why? How many?
My name is Morant. It's just me and my two slaves here. Looking to get back to Osept.
You're a long way from home, friend.
The war scattered me to the winds. I had to do what I could to survive.
So I'm going to interrupt here slightly and so buddy, what did you say his name was again?
Morant is the name.
So buddy, Mort, what's with eyeing the nice little orc family over yonder? I catch
He
you,
scoffs a bit.
I catch you eyeing them from time to time.
The Rankar know where their place truly lies. It's back in Oception chains.
Well, keep your hands to yourself. Girl, Apollo, we can see him.
He kind of shoots you a dirty look, but then says, "I won't cause any trouble. Don't worry."
All right. And I'm gonna wander.
Good. Because if you do, it won't be just your slaves who are in chains.
Could I roll an insight on him and see if, he's possibly planning something or acting particularly... Yeah. Okay. Give me a second.
Yeah.
If anyone else wants to as well,
I
they
think
can.
yes. I think I would also like
Wow.
to try.
I have
Paying
no idea.
attention
I'm walking
less to
away.
what he says, more to how he says it. So
I'm walking away because I automatically assume that he's going to do something.
so it's an insight roll, right?
And
Yes.
you mentioned that his robe was
Yeah.
long and ornate.
Yes, it is Oception in nature. To kind of give you a frame of reference, Oceps you can draw a lot of parallels to ancient Egypt. So it's very Middle Eastern type garb is what he's wearing.
Okay. So while they're studying him, I'm just studying the patterns of his robe.
Okay.
I'm actually walking away, and I'm trying to find a nice quiet spot. Like quiet's a loose term. A obscured spot to transform and disguise self. Obviously, the first person I'm looking for is the redheaded guy, and the boss captain guy. And I'm
Okay.
going to disguise self. One spell slot gone. And I'm gonna
Okay.
go in and like usher in 2 or 3 guards. How many do I get? Or try to usher in 2 or 3 guards. You 3 or you 2 come here.
You manage to catch the eye of 2 guards who come over. The rest appear to be continuing their patrols. How can we help, Endrick?
Like, and I'm gonna point to the dude with the slaves. Like, him, this kind we don't need here. When you're off duty, it's not your job to do so, but keep tabs on them as discreetly as you can.
Roll a persuasion check.
I'm thinking very loudly at Fiora's. Are we trying to start trouble?
He's thinking loudly.
Projecting his thoughts into the abyss.
Hey, you! Listen to me! I can't yell at you!
So the 2 guards
Don't
kind
think
of
at me in that tone.
give each other a weird look. All right, Endrick, we'll keep an eye on them.
Yeah, I just have a bad feeling about his type. The whole slave thing. Too many orcs around here for him to just keep his greedy little paws to himself.
That's fair. Or Rankar and Ocep ties do run deep in their conflicts, so we'll make sure to keep an eye out for sure.
So I've got to ask somebody here. Now I assume you have a problem because these people are harnessed the same way you harness horses and whatnot.
Oh, you're talking to me?
Any of you?
Oh, I just hate assholes, and that guy's an asshole.
He seems much like the rest, except for his clothing, and well, his property, I suppose. I'm still.
I think I'm talking about his property.
Hmm.
And the fact that he was scaring the child, him being an asshole, it all kind of fits together into me wanting to do something about it, and how I go about it is my own way.
I don't think I understand, but I won't. I won't get in your way.
Definitely cultural differences, but that probably might have been in poor taste, how he was acting.
Poor taste. There is so much that I don't understand.
But yeah, after I would dismiss the guards, like return to your duties, and thank you for this favor I'm asking.
They nod and they continue their patrols, but they clearly are now sticking a little bit closer to the Oception. As you guys move to the next group, Gus, you are taken by surprise a little bit, as one of the people in the next group is another Inuzin. Also with them, there is a man dressed in priestly garbs, and a very old man who's wearing something that looks sort of like a toga, and he's really old and kind of has a walking stick.
Well, I'll definitely approach the Inuzen. Or do I have any way of sort of telling what tribe they're from, or if
What
you
colors?
can see the Inuzen.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna ask what colors.
The Inuzen that you approach, he appears to have highlights of blue and gray in his fur. He looks like he's dressed for very, very cold weather. Probably not where Gust is from, and he's a little bit larger than you too. So he's a bit huskier, taller.
I see what you did there, Joe.
Clever, huh?
Okay. Well, I'll greet him. Hello, cousin. You seem to be far from home. From where do you hail?
Indeed, I am. I'm looking to return home to Isilde, where the rest of my people are.
I envy you. My people are gone.
I am sorry to hear that. You are welcome to come along with me. As fellow Inuzen, you would be taken in kindly by my tribe.
I greatly appreciate the offer, but I've sworn an oath that I have not fulfilled yet. But it is good to see one of my fellows in this strange, strange place.
Aye, it does bring me comfort as well.
Now then, who, how many, why?
I think that's all the questions.
My name is Root. With me here is Acreon. He gestures towards the old man. And my other new friend... How many names? Charlene. I am looking to return to Isilde, as I said. Acreon here hails from Cyprus, and Charlene is a priest from Oresia.
And where are you other two going?
The old man speaks up. I would like to seek passage to Orez City. The priest speaks up, as would I, Root. I have decided to travel with these two. They have taken kindly to me and treated me well. Orez City is but a small journey for me to return home. It's much closer to my homeland.
So, you are saying it's just your two companions, because you didn't answer the question exactly. None of the people traveling with you are like invisible or anything, right?
The Root kind of raises an eyebrow at you. You can't really tell if it's because you're extremely awkward or if it's because you're in Eldera and he hasn't seen many of those. It is just us three. We have no hidden members, if that's what you're asking.
Okay.
All right, makes sense. Nothing seems odd here.
I'm content.
Most of them are intense.
I'm gonna wander in at some point. Like, so how's the interview going, guys?
You know, talky.
Yes, many words exchanged on all sides.
At that moment, you hear a boisterous laugh coming from one of the next tent over, and you hear loud talking and what kind of sounds like drinks being poured and drank. If you head over in that direction and open up, you see 4 large men, long black beards. They all look like they have coats for a cold winter. Some of them just have them laying by their things. But they are all drinking and speaking in a very rough dialect when you approach.
What language are they speaking? Do I recognize it?
Do you speak Trist?
Damn it.
I will now. Magic.
You're going to cast Comprehend Languages?
Magic.
I do the
Alright,
magic.
It's gonna take me a minute. I'm gonna be like off to the side, like. Although, like by this point, I think it should be like every so often I'm gonna cast it when I hear interesting things going on.
Okay.
The ritual spell.
When you cast it, you can understand what they're saying. They're clearly recounting tales of a battle that they were in, and it's like, yes, Dimitri here. I saw him run up to the demon and shove the demon spear right into its own head. It was glorious. And they all kind of laugh at that, their tales. They're all drinking as they recount these tales.
Yeah, it's just a shame I can't talk back. I can just understand it.
At that point, one of them, Victor, and he gestures towards you. The largest of the 4 men turns. Welcome, how can I help you today?
And I'm going to like.
He says this in common, so you can understand.
Oh, okay. It's like.
Very
I
thick accents.
was overhearing your tale, and I happen to love tales. Please tell me more.
I wag my tail.
I love tales. Travels with the natives in.
You wish to hear of our tales of valor, then?
All tales are tales of valor as long as you live.
And
Why
sometimes
don't
even
we
when
make a
die.
game of it, eh?
You think this is a game? And flip the table.
He pulls out another stein, lays it down, and fills it up with a clear liquid. Gust, you could smell it for sure with your good old wolf-smelling.
Your special nose.
It's really strong alcohol.
That
It's
is
some sort of vodka.
that is a potent brew.
Perfect. Let the game
Water and
begin.
alcohol.
This is one of those rituals of self-poisoning, right?
Would you like to participate, Eric?
Well,
In
since
a
I have
drinking
poison-
game. It'll be
Yes.
an interesting experience.
It'll definitely be an interesting experience for him. You can't get drunk.
Now you're giving it away.
Wait, what?
Here's how this game is played.
I suppose I could
We take
sample
turns
some.
recounting glorious stories of battle. Whoever has more glorious stories does not have to drink.
Well, then, please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and fame. And I'm gonna go on to that song.
Okay.
That's
So
my
you're going
first.
to play the game with them?
Yes, I'm playing it
Go
now.
ahead. Make
Of
either
course, it's gonna play
a
the game.
persuasion check or a perform check. Your choice. I have a
Rather
feeling you're
persuade.
going to go with perform, though.
They're same bonus, so perform.
Anything? A 20.
Oh,
Wow, nice.
I'm rolling high now.
yes.
He
I
charms
clap
them.
for you.
I'm
So you regale them with a song
It is earned.
great valor and a tale of glory.
Pleased to meet you. Hope you guess my name.
At the end of it, all the soldiers clap verbosely and cheer at it. And then the large man steps forward. This is a good story. Yes, I like it. I will try to top that one. And he begins telling the tale of how he survived an entire year of the Darkest War, underground in a hole miles away from where the front line had been pushed back, and whenever a demon found him, he would stab it, kill it, and use it for warmth.
Wow.
Let's see how he does. It's just his story.
This guy's hard.
He kind of
Pretty hardcore.
fumbles a little bit in his tail spinning and has a few inconsistencies within it, which are all pretty obvious. And at the end of it, he's kind of stuttering over his words, and he kind of goes, you win! And he takes the glass and
I
he
have so
chucks
many
it
lined
down.
up, though. I could regale you all night. I could tell you about young nasty man. I'm pointing to Merrick.
Crystal eyes widen.
History, once a boy and young nasty man. I'm sure everybody knows Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny and such.
Oh, yeah.
If not, I will sing it to you.
All right. So, why did you come into tent in first place? You look like you all have business to accomplish.
Work hard, play hard. I'm drinking anyway. Even though I'm winning, I'm still drinking.
We want to know where you're going, how many of you are there. Are you all from Kristen?
Yes, it is me and my 3 soldiers here. In midst of battle, we board an airship. Airship ends up crashing in Vaver. We get stuck here. We'd like to go home now.
Well, seems like you're having a good time here.
We have good time wherever we go.
Except when you're hiding in a hole. Oh, never mind.
It sounded like he was having a fairly good time slaughtering things in the hole.
Making pelts out of demon skin?
Making, yes, demon pelts.
Those must have sold for a pretty penny.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you make it home safely.
I thank you, flying
I have a-
lizard woman.
Thank you.
I think.
Yeah, I think. His common's probably not so great.
All right.
Sorry, if I'm not paying attention, I'm talking to the stream.
Oh, it's okay. I think our bard's gonna stay here all night.
Yeah,
He's having a
Yeah.
good time.
Have we lost the bard to this tent?
it's like I'm gonna have to cast eventually, I'm gonna be too drunk to cast comprehend languages. I'm gonna cast comprehend languages at least one more time, so I can make this a 2-hour session for me. Like, excuse, I have to do something so I can keep understanding what you're saying.
And with that, you guys have but 1 tent left to question before you've completed your task.
Gently direct Fiora's away from the liquor.
It's like water. It's so clear and pretty.
Yes, indeed.
All right.
But do you still understand drunkish?
Drunkish.
I'm not
That's
gonna
the lowest of languages.
wipe my hand against your chest, Merrick. Like, you understand drunkish.
I'd like to.
So,
Heading
But
over
it does-
to the
it
last
doesn't quite
tent.
make sense.
Yes.
This one is very much like an actual tent that's closed, so you can't really see inside of it. Standing by the entrance is a well-armored tiefling with a long curved sword at his side. He's dressed in the garbs of a samurai, as one would see a samurai. And it looks like he's kind of guarding the entrance to the tent.
Does he look all serious?
He looks very serious.
I approach him slowly.
and I approach him drunkily.
Oh God, please no! Anything but this.
I redirect Sir Fior's. I just distract him in conversation. I'm no good diplomatically anyway, so I'm just going to.
So interesting. Look at him. He's like a
fouling it up.
statue.
He's like a statue.
You can't be so serious. Why so serious?
I just want this task to be over, my friend. Now just sit here and talk with me.
I say hi in common. Hello, as we approach.
The tiefling kind of looks at you, shakes its head no, as if to imply it doesn't understand what you're saying.
Joe, I'm sending you a PM.
Okay. Does anybody speak Washun?
A little bit.
Sort of. I understand it. I'm trying to speak to him psychically because because Gus is pulling me away. I'm like,
So, would I know from, just from his armor that that's probably the language that he speaks?
Yes, you would.
Okay.
And to answer your question, Brad Diamond, yes. You would know Washun.
Yay! I approach him and bow, and then I ask him, to which master does he serve?
He bows back, and he says in a tongue that sounds, to those who aren't familiar with Washun, it would sound very similar to Japanese or Chinese, an Asian, Oriental language. To you, he says, Clarity, I serve Xiao Da. He is busy meditating right now, and he does not wish to be disturbed.
Maybe you can answer a few questions for us, then. What is his purpose here?
Xiao Da's business is his own, though he does not wish to tarry here long. If you are concerned for the well-being of this town or anything having to do with this town, Xiao Da wishes nothing to do with this town.
Let's hope that remains a truth and not a false. How many of there are you?
It is just me and my master.
Alright. That answers all of my questions.
Wait, do we know where they're going?
Where are you headed?
We would like to travel to the city of Sinithil. We have business to attend there.
I assume you wish to catch an airship. That is a far trip by foot.
Yes, if it is able to be arranged.
The city seems to have erected a hastily constructed airship tower. Maybe some traffic will come by that you can hitch a ride on.
I would ask that, if such things happen, to contact my master, or I.
I will keep my eyes out for you. I bid you good day. And then I leave.
He bows as you leave and steps back into his position as a guard.
I turn part way, mumble something under my breath, and then look back. I'm going to try and mage hand the tent flap open just to take a peek inside.
Okay.
Oh, that's a clever use of mage hand.
Yeah, that is very clever.
Are you trying to be sneaky at this?
Yes.
Okay. No, that's fine. Go ahead and roll deception.
Okay.
That's what I was
Yeah.
Same bonus, whatever.
I guess I wasn't trying very hard to be sneaky.
You wanted to, but Merrick decided it wasn't going to happen.
I mean, okay, so it started off, sort of sneaky, but then I couldn't quite see inside, and I really wanted to see inside, so it got less and less stealthy as my curiosity kind of grew.
You were
Alright.
overwhelmed by curiosity.
So the mage hand kind of flutters slowly towards the tent, and then you kind of get a little impatient, and then you just kind of pull it open really quick. Once the tent is pulled open, in a flash, you see the samurai who was standing there swing his sword and kind of cut your mage hand to kind of dissipate it. But the tent flap does go up, and you do get a good glimpse of what's inside. Sitting on the floor in the tent, surrounded by like candles in almost a meditative state, is another tiefling. This one's wearing robes, and looks like he's meditating. There's also some incense burning as he meditates.
Okay.
You get a
But
good glimpse
no
of
hidden
that.
extra people.
No hidden
Okay.
extra people, just the one like they said.
Okay, so they
And-
weren't lying.
What's the person inside wearing?
He's wearing very fancy. Looks like a very fancy kimono type deal as he's kind of kneeling down. Really pretty silk work, and all the designs on it are really well stitched and whatnot.
Okay. I reluctantly pull away from studying the designs and instead just shrug and walk off. Kind of too quickly for nonchalance.
The samurai just kind of gazes at you, like not too happy with you, just staring at you as you walk away.
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna.
don't-
Go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead.
I was gonna wrestle away from Gus, like I see things.
I'll let him go.
Ah. Like, why so mad? What did you do, Merrick? What happened? Why did the flappy thing? Drunk talk.
I think our curious friend was, just being his inquisitive self again. We had to check to make sure what was in the tent. I can't fault him.
Like, don't be so mad. I'm like kind of wag my finger at the samurai. Like, don't be so mad. We just need to make sure we're doing our job. It's like
The samurai looks up at you, Clarity, and says in Washun, "I do not understand what the drunk samurai is saying, but you are lucky that you did not disturb my master's meditation.
I could
You're
still
not lying. If we could be left alone now, it would be much appreciated."
The telepathy from the racial trait doesn't work like the warlock telepathy, does it?
No.
Okay, because like in warlock, as long as there's one common language, they can communicate. That's why.
Oh no, that's how MRI communication works as well. You just have to have a shared language.
Do you have Washun, Elliot?
I don't, but I can comprehend it. That's why I'm like, I don't know if that's a workaround. If I cast,
Well, technically, you wouldn't be able to communicate to him, so he wouldn't know to telepathically communicate to you.
Okay, yeah. I'll ask for more clarification on the psychic ability, because I would, if he doesn't understand my words and I can understand him, I would start yelling at him mentally. I don't know what that would do though, because if he doesn't understand me, there's no docking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably doesn't know Drunkish anyway.
Yeah, Drunkish is a pretty hard language to learn.
So okay, then I'm just gonna wander off with the party.
Alright. So having completed your rounds, you've talked to all the people in the area that you guys were assigned to. Due to your little foray with the Tristan guards and kind of making your way around and making sure everything's recorded, it is getting a little late in the day, so this has kind of been an all-day endeavor for you guys, going from tent to tent. And as the sun sets, Enderic ends up finding you all again. Ah, my friends. Did you manage to get that group over there on the east side all sorted out?
Yes.
And
I believe
that's
so.
Although if any of them are assassins, we failed to detect them. Sorry.
Endrick laughs. I don't think any assassins could get by, not when you have an Amorai here.
A drunken Amorai, to be sure, but
I do things.
He kind of pats Theoris on the back. I'm sure if any Noir had gotten into the town, you would have let us know by now.
do you think we could suffer something like that?
I'm gonna whisper in his ear. Maybe. Oh, I'm gonna use my psychic ability and kind of whisper into his head. Maybe I'm an assassin.
Oh, that's a good idea.
He laughs a little uneasily. Right. He kind of pulls away from having his arm on your shoulder and steps back.
Perhaps it's time to get Fioris to bed.
Yes.
Perhaps indeed. If any of you would like to have a meal, I'd be honored to dine with you this evening.
So I'm going to pull out my pan flute and lead the way. I have no clue where I'm going.
If you don't mind my lack of table manners, I would love to join you for a meal.
Yeah, I'm sure it won't be awkward.
I have very few table manners myself at times. He chuckles as he leads the way to his quarters. So he serves you a nice spread of bread, cheese, nice roasted chicken. You all feast, have a glass of wine or two.
No more for the bard.
No.
The bard just has water. Maybe some black coffee to sober up a little bit. That Tristan vodka is pretty strong.
Firewater. I'm gonna try and whisper that to the bartender, but not so much whisper. Actually, I'm gonna psychically see that.
So Hendrik bids you all good night. As you exit, the two guards who are kind of standing outside in the hall nod to you as you pass. You hear a click and a lock at Hendrik's door as you all walk to your quarters to rest. At this point, any spells you lost are regained. It's another long rest. No one took any damage, so hit points should be still at max. You are, however, awoken early in the morning to some urgency. You heard a lot of running around and shouting and whatnot in the halls of the building.
I'm already extremely tired of this place. And then I get up and go investigate the noise.
Gus, actually, for the night, make a perception check. Or what's your passive perception?
My passive perception, where did I put my character sheet? Oh, there. Passive is 13.
13. Right. So the way I'm going to do this is right before everyone else is kind of woken up by a big hullabaloo, you are actually stirred a little bit, and you see leaping from the window of where Endric's room would be, a figure wearing a cloak running off to the east side of the village, the area that you guys were at interrogating or gathering questions and whatnot and information from all the people. A few moments later, that's when all the commotion starts and the rest of the party's kind of awakened inside.
And
I only did that because I knew you were sleeping on the roof since you had
on the roof
before.
There we go.
Yeah.
And I assume I wasn't sleeping, but I'm like almost done with the chapter. So I know there's something going on, but okay. Let's go check it out.
as you kind of open your door, you see sentinels kind of running every which way. Most of them are headed towards where Endric's room was.
I'm going to seek out the rest of my group. I mean, first thing. I'm less interested in what's going on and more interested in making sure that we're backing each other up.
Agreed.
Okay.
He's still drunk.
Can we find each other?
Yep.
Okay. I saw. I'll immediately relate. I saw someone climbing out of Endric's window and running to the east shortly before the shouting started. I have a bad feeling that something has happened to Endric.
That must be one of the assassins we didn't find.
Well, yes, I suppose so. Who would want to assassinate this Endric?
Could be anyone. Anyone with a beef against the Sentinels. Maybe he caught someone with a grudge. Maybe he didn't let somebody in the city. Who knows?
Let's go to his rooms.
I'll follow.
As you head towards Endric's room, a good number of the sentinels are indeed there looking at the site, and you see many of them with their helmets off, kind of holding them, and you get a glimpse of, through an open door, Endric's body lying on his bed with a dagger right through his heart.
Ooh.
He didn't
That's brutal.
Is there any other Vathis Sentinels around?
There are all Vathis. There's a good number of Vathis Sentinels around in this room, looking solemn and kind of talking. Some who kind of look like they're not quite Endric's rank, but they're not lowly Sentinels. Are kind of talking about what to do next and how to handle things.
And he kept a well-stocked library. It's a shame, really.
Is there any gossip or speculation which tends to happen quickly after something like this happens?
Are you gonna outright ask any of them, or are you gonna try
I'm
and
just
listen
listening
in?
if there's
Okay. Go ahead and
people
make
in
a
the corner
perception check.
gossiping.
Are there any former soldiers in our party?
Hello?
Okay, so I would kind of nudge you as like, hey, Charity, why don't you do that thing you did? My head hurts.
Before you do that, Clarity, Rachel got a 19 for perception to listen in. You overhear, first you're going to overhear the two officers talking. I'm not sure what to do. I don't know if we have the men to spare to go after whoever did this. We need to worry about the refugees and get them to safety. We have too many of them to deal with right now. And then you hear a couple of the other sentinels, and you actually recognize them as the two who were on guard when you left. I can't believe it. We were just talking to Endric a few hours ago. Yeah, then we were relieved, and I doubt the others would have let anyone in.
The two that saw him a few hours ago.
Okay.
I approached them and I asked them if he seemed weird when they saw him last. If he was out of the ordinary at all.
We didn't see him last, my lady. You were the one who actually saw him last. We were simply guarding outside his door.
Oh, so they're referring to when we said goodnight, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, but we didn't do it.
Yeah, obviously.
But I will look around to see if there's anything out of place, anything unusual in his room.
We're well aware that it wasn't you. We've had guards posted outside your room as well. Endric wanted to make sure you were all protected in case anything happened. seem to look fondly on you, having known you for such a short time.
Thanks for the belt of confidence.
Good. Just that, if we were the last to see him, again, it wasn't us.
So
I'll investigate.
I'll ask Leska, are we investigating this? Or
Well, I'm trying to nudge Charity to kind of do something about the soldiers,
I'd like to.
rally them.
very well.
Something.
I can see if there's poison used. That's about the most information I can think of to gather right now.
Okay.
So you saw the guy jump out the window. Was he heading out of town?
He was headed east towards the refugee camps where we were yesterday. I lost sight of him after a time, and I didn't think it was of tremendous importance until shortly afterwards.
Okay.
Does a 14 turn up any clues?
14, looking around, you don't really find much like hard evidence, but you do find something a little strange about the room. You kind of notice that a lot of things seem a little out of place and disjointed. Like one of the rugs is a little bunched up on the floor, and one of the dressers has like one of the drawers is open, and one of the big armoire is kind of tilted against the wall as opposed to standing up straight. And from all that, you can kind of gather that Endrick wasn't simply just murdered. There was some sort of struggle, so he didn't go down without a fight.
Okay, but it doesn't look like a search was conducted. Like, it doesn't look like the room isn't rifled through and then kind of sloppily put back. It's more signs of a struggle.
Right.
Okay.
I turn to all the guards who are mingling around, and did anybody bother to search the room for clues, anything that could be, useful, maybe?
Some of them look around. Most of them, one of the ones who looks like he's somewhat in charge, most of them didn't want to go in there. I looked around a little. I didn't find anything out of the ordinary, just that some of the things were clearly moved around.
Weren't there guards stationed outside a store? Or did I misunderstand?
There were guards stationed outside the door.
So
they didn't hear anything. Are these guards still alive?
The two who are actually outside his door haven't reported in just yet.
So they weren't present when the body was discovered?
They haven't been seen since, and he gestures to the two guards that you were talking to before, Leska. They haven't been seen since they relieved these two from duty.
Well, I'm a skilled tracker, and I'm willing to lend my services.
But we should move quickly if we want to be able to do that. Because, yeah.
Clarity, I'm sorry.
Moving quickly. Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. I was just going to comment on the incompetence of people, but never mind.
Perhaps best not to right now.
Stupid guards.
We would be in your debt if you could help us figure out what's going on here. We have our hands full with all these refugees.
Well, very well. Keep handling the refugees, and we'll do what we can.
We'll do all your work.
Do you mind if we have access to the room and to examine the body? I promise we'll be respectful.
Please go ahead. We just ask that, obviously, you don't take anything from the room.
Nothing will be removed.
And when you say that, I look up from having looked around the room, going, "Oh,
Merrick, getting ahead in the game."
Yeah. So there's one spell that I have that I don't quite know how it works, whether it's instantaneous or whether it's concentration. It's detect poison and disease. So is it one of... In any case, I intend to use that to determine if the weapon is poisoned, if there's anything distinctive that it picks up in the room.
I can tell you in a minute.
Oh, thank you.
Detect poison and disease. It's a ritual, and it does have concentration for up to 10 minutes.
Okay.
Would you like
So
a
I'm sorry?
Would you like a druid spellbook in Word document form?
Oh, sure. Let me put in my email address real quick.
Email address or Skype? Either one works.
I'm sorry?
Either email address or Skype.
I don't even remember my Skype password.
So, yeah, if it takes 10 minutes, do we want to do that or
No,
just get to
No,
tracking right away?
it can last. It can
It
last
lasts-
10 minutes.
Oh,
if you-
okay. The casting time's just an action.
Yeah, because it's a ritual, so it takes 10 minutes to cast.
Oh, it does take 10 minutes. to cast.
Any spell that you cast as a ritual takes 10 minutes to cast,
I see.
but 10 minutes additional longer. So it's a slow
Okay.
cast.
Very slow casting. Okay.
I believe that we would be better off tracking down the two missing guards than determining if there is poison or disease.
Okay. And since it takes a ritual, I'm instead going to examine the window, since I know I saw him leave that way, and look for any... I'm going to attempt to use... Would it be survival? Or... basically, I'm going to try and track. Or look for any
I'll
kind
give you
of
survival
hints.
for tracking.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you a little bit of hint. If you want, you can spend the spell slot and cast it like normal. The ritual is to cast it without expending a spell slot.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I don't think druids actually have ritual casting, do they?
I have no...
I know clerics do, I know bards do, and I know wizards do. I don't think anyone else does.
You can obviously take the feat for it, but
Yeah, that's what the ritual casting feat's for. But
well, I'm perfectly willing to use the slot.
yeah, then it's just casting.
Okay, so I guess the first thing I'll do is cast that, examine the weapon in particular and the wound, but just kind of give the entire room a quick scan if there's something distinctive.
upon casting it, especially near the weapon, you can almost immediately tell that there is a kind of poison on the weapon.
Okay, I will. Is this one that I can concentrate for further details on a particular? Like if you do detect animal and you keep on concentrating, you can then get the number and then get. Is this
Could
like
I help with a medicine check maybe? And together we could figure it out.
Well, yeah, and I believe I also have medicine +3, so
Why don't we go ahead and have both you guys make medicine checks?
medicine checks.
See if you
All
just
right.
know offhand what it is.
So, whoops, I didn't do the +3, so it's actually an 18.
Well, mine's only a 10.
Okay. Leska's a little stumped by this, but Gus, you are able to tell that the kind of poison it is, though you're not sure of the name, it's in some strange demonic tongue that you can't really pronounce. This is indeed a poison that the Shattered Hand employed a lot during the Darkest War, in particular Noir assassins.
I've seen this poison before, used by Noir assassins. Okay. So we may be looking at a face changer somewhere in the refugee camps. So Fiora, is it maybe you're up to your talents to find the murderer? Your telepathy. You can read minds. I can't.
I can't read minds if they don't speak my language. I only speak 2 languages. Haven't we gone? We've gone over this in the last few months.
All right, so let's do this the old-fashioned way.
Okay.
Is the window broken?
The window is not broken.
So it was opened willingly and it was unlocked. Did it look like they came in this way or did they leave this way?
Or both.
Make an investigation check.
I don't know if I have that.
It is the nighttime, right?
Well, okay. Well, we did know that they left that way, right? Because
I observed
Gus
someone
saw it.
leaving. I would not attest to the fact that they were the murderer because I did not observe that.
God
However-
damn it!
However, I did see someone leaving.
It's like Gust. In every murder novel we've ever read, well, I guess
I've never read a novel.
well, I'm motioning to America. Pushing to America. Every murder novel we've read, well, I don't know if he reads novels, I do. Whatever, I digress. Every good murder novel, the wolf should lead the hunt for the hunty.
All right,
That's
fair enough. Do I have enhanced sense of smell in my wolf form, tracking scent or anything?
I'll give you an advantage to
An advantage to it? Okay,
nature.
so I will I will shapeshift. So I will. I'll start
Okay.
sniffing around the room and see if I can get start at the window actually, or maybe start at the handle of the dagger, the hilt of the dagger,
Okay.
and the window in particular, trying to figure out which humanoid scent, specifically if I can tell a noir by scent. But try and find the track of whoever was in the room and who left through the window.
I'm going to sing him a little tune into his ears and say, "Be inspired.
Ah, that's an inspiring tune. That is.
Be inspired."
That
Just
is
a dog whistle.
Well, I'm the only one who can hear it, but I still appreciate it.
Yeah, I was like, I can't whistle, but I can sing. Go figure.
Track,
So,
little doggy track.
whoops. Well, I just rolled, but I actually don't know what I was even rolling against.
Your nature or survival?
I believe it was nature I was going with. I'll let you pick nature or survival.
Well, I'll go for survival if I've got the option.
Yep.
So survival is +5, so 18.
18.
Then if you want to add your bardic inspiration,
Oh, yes,
you can
and
roll
I'll
an
add
extra
that
d6.
bardic, an extra d6.
Yep.
So,
shove
oh,
in.
well, it's still better than
19.
nothing.
Still very good. You do manage to pick up a unique scent, and it doesn't quite smell like anyone from the camp that you encountered before, but you can definitely pick it up, and it is definitely headed towards the camp.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go outside, accompanied by the party, of course. No unaccompanied wolves in town. And I'll use the lights, the ley lights, whenever I need to like point people at like where I'm going or what's
This is
going
kind
on.
of out of character, but Merrick, do you have a light spell?
No, I don't believe I do.
I do.
Then perhaps this could be a useful time. I don't
Yes.
think I don't think most of us have dark vision, do we?
I do, but
As a wolf.
well, in both forms.
Oh, okay.
I
It
do.
doesn't have dark vision, and as do Visar. But Leska does have the light cantrip, so you guys
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I can't see in the dark quite well there, friend. If you could enlighten us.
He starts
I-
bumping into things on the way out the building.
Literally enlighten you all.
Yeah, I could clean the stain on the bed and his clothes, but I don't think we have time for that right now.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I spin the ley lights around Merrick and then have them sort of go march towards the door.
Nice. As you exit the building, it is just about the break of dawn. So it's dim light, so a light spell still helps, especially following what tracks you can find of the scent. You head right into the direction of the camp that you guys were at earlier. And upon reaching it, you start to smell something not very pleasant, Gust. It's a smell you all might recognize a little bit from your days during the war when the fires burned the hottest and the death toll was the highest. As you approach the refugee camp, in the center of the refugee camp, you all see a corpse. It is charred to a crisp, all its features burned and unidentifiable. Emerging from the tents, you can see all the refugees that you guys had encountered the day before. All of them are present and accounted for according to your numbers. There is, however, one extra body laying on the fire.
So
Is it burning right now?
yeah, well, I'm gonna walk in.
It's pretty burned to a crisp.
Yeah.
So I'm going to shift back so I can speak.
Yeah, I'm gonna walk in like a pretty much kind of a asshole-ish manner. Like, so he must have been really cold. Does anyone know?
How? Go ahead.
And that was it.
Okay. What size is the body? Like, can we determine human size, halfling size?
It is definitely a medium-sized humanoid.
And I'll mutter to myself, damn it, one of them was invisible.
I think it's more likely that one of those present is not what they seem.
Do you say that out loud, Gus?
I'll say it very quietly.
Okay.
But
okay.
out loud, yes.
I'll look at Clarity and then very, very quickly look away.
No, I don't think that's the one.
No.
Can we get them to line up so that I can do a bit of a sniff check? Perhaps. Since I was able to track the smell, I'm not sure if the Noir ability to shapeshift extends to their odor. Clarity, you know them well. Do you have any insight?
It usually does not.
Excellent. Can we line everybody up right now while we have them all collected? You all organize and I will sniff.
Sure.
Super.
Is that kind of like
The crowd kind of looks at you all, wondering what's going on and what this random burning body in the middle of their camp is. Most of them are looking a little scared.
Give a grand speech about how we're trying to protect the community, and the only way you can help out is to all stand in a line and let my little puppy here sniff you for a little bit.
Yeah, no one answered my question about does anyone know who the burning body is?
Well,
he's burned. Does it matter?
Go ahead and make a persuasion check for me, Clarity.
Oh, I actually rolled high!
woo!
Your words seem to sway the crowd quite well. Your speech is very convincing for the good of the community.
Right.
And
Cats.
they all kind of line up, a few begrudgingly so, being the Oception and the Washoon individuals, the tieflings. They begrudgingly line up, but they do so.
So yes, I will sniff them one by one and see if I can identify the smell that I've been tracking. So I'm not sure what skill or attribute that would be. There's investigation is 0, medicine, nature, perception.
I'm gonna go with whatever you rolled. You went with survival for your tracking?
Survival for the tracking, yeah.
Let's keep
Keep
that
doing
up.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Same sense, same roll.
yeah, it does. Okay, so ouch. Well, only a 10.
All right.
Should I give you
So going through the crowd, sniffing. Gus, you can determine a few things. One, you can determine that it was not the orcs.
Okay.
None of the orcs are. All the orcs are actually orcs.
Mhm. They have a
They
distinct
do smell a little different from everyone else, so it's not too hard to pick them out.
Okay.
You can also tell that it was not your fellow Inuzen or either of his companions. So it's not the priest or the old man.
Okay.
You're not sure about the Trist soldiers. Those were the 4 Russian-sounding fellows. You're not sure about the Oception or his slaves, and you are not sure about the Washun individuals.
Gotcha.
Everyone else you're pretty sure is not the Noir.
Okay, well, reverting to human form, I will quietly update my fellows. The orcs smell like orcs. The Anuzen and his 2 comrades smell as they should. The bearded men reek of alcohol, and the slaver reeks of strange spices, so I can't tell. And I'm just not very familiar with this tiefling smell.
And the really good news is that lining these people up to sniff them wasn't nearly as awkward as I thought it would be.
The important thing.
He's just introducing himself, I swear.
Yes, he does that to everybody. So I think we can at least rule a handful out. Does anyone have any ideas about how to take this further in terms of verifying identities?
Well, dealing with the tieflings is going to be a touchy subject at best. We don't want to anger them in any strange cultural customs that we may not know about. And wait a second. There was 2 guards stationed at the door, right?
Yes.
And there was 1 killer? And the guards ran off and we can't find them or their bodies.
Well, there's much that's unknown. The 2 guards are missing. Someone exited the room through the window. Beyond that...
What about... There is 3 Oceptions. If they are all Noir, the guards could have just been posing as slaves.
Replaced earlier. Yeah.
Indeed.
Because
with the tieflings, there's only 2, but we know that there are 3 people involved in this at minimum.
Let's see, was it Fiora's who conversed with the my mind's gone blank, the slaver.
The Oception guy?
Yeah, the Oception. I was curious, but I was just kind of looking around, so... Fiora's, was that you that interacted with the Oception before?
The Oception's the orcs, right?
The slave
slaver
owner.
Yeah, I did.
You had a little beef with him.
Yes. So do you recall any particular details that you could maybe bring up in conversation that would somehow confirm or deny whether this is the same individual that you talked with yesterday? For example, basically, if you behave inconsistently or tell an inconsistent story or get him to tell an inconsistent story.
Well, I have an idea.
Wait, what about the guards that you told to watch them?
That's exactly what I was going to say. I did, I don't think I told you guys about it. However, I
didn't know anything about it.
I didn't tell you guys about it. I just kind of went and did that on my own. I did, however, say, I have an idea. I'll be right back. I'm going to go see if I can find these guards.
One sec.
You guys do what you're going to do.
All right.
I'm going to say, I has idea. I'm going to give Gus 1 more bardic inspiration. And I'm going to give Charity 1 more inspiration. That's the 3 for my day. So both Gus and Charity have inspiration. I'm taking off.
Okay.
Guards.
He's a crafty one, that Fjord.
I do things.
He
Stuff.
fixes things.
One thing I'd like to point out, just to clarify a few things, as you guys are going about your little investigation here. Brad Diamond, while you are correct that the 2 guards are unaccounted for, and 1 person was seen fleeing, I would like to point out that the 2 guards are, in fact, unaccounted for. So it doesn't necessarily mean that there's 3. You don't
Yes,
know
but
what
the
happened.
likelihood is higher.
It's a possibility.
It's a possibility.
I'm not saying it's a definite. However, comma, I did ask a favor as Hendrick. Yep. Hendrick to these 2 guards to watch the orc guy, which could ultimately exonerate him of any suspicion.
Okay. So, do you want to go and find those 2 guards?
That's what I'm going to do. Yes.
Okay.
In the meantime, they can do whatever.
Okay. So we'll let them do another little round of investigation and try and figure stuff out, and then we'll get to you finding those 2.
So one thing I want to try and do, at this point I think I probably know what the poison smells like, so I'll also smell around for that, just among, like, among the people, and I'll wander in wolf form among the tents and stuff. And
Love the hat.
basically see if I can spot, like, is there a bag with the poison in it or anything like that.
Okay.
So let's see, are we doing survival again?
I'll have you do another survival check for that.
Wow, I am rolling really average, even with a good bonus.
You got an extra D6 if you want to burn it. You don't have to. If you want
Oh yeah, that will add the die. I think it's a useful time to try. If I could track the poison, that might get us one step closer. So 15 total.
All right. So the poison smell, you have a pretty good idea of what it is still. You can definitely tell by smelling the scent of the Tristan soldiers that they're more alcohol than anything.
Mm-hmm.
There's no poison really in that realm. However, when you try and smell the Oception and you try and smell the Washun individuals, their smells are a little bit different. The Oception, there's a really complex blend of like spices and foreign smells that you're not familiar with, and they kind of blend together, kind of the same with the Washun. So neither of them you can really tell if they have the scent of the poison on them or not.
Okay.
Anyone else like to try anything before we cut to Fioris?
No, I want to see what Fioris comes back with.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay. Fioris, after searching around for a little bit, you do come across the 2 guards who you were talking to before. And they, at this point, seem to be in a hurry running off to investigate something that's going on just outside the gate.
it's like I would wave them down, like, you 2, both of you. I have final words from Hendrick for you.
Aww.
One of them walks over. He waves the other one on. What is it? We have to go investigate something. Apparently, something was found outside the gates.
Well, Hendrick asked you for a favor to keep overwatch on a particular person today by my request. He was doing me a favor,
Oception,
asking
you mean?
for a favor. Yes. And right now we're investigating the murder of Hendrick. And if you've actually kept tabs on him today, you may be able to exonerate or point the finger at him.
Well, as far as the Oception himself is concerned, he barely moved from the tent. He sent his slaves off to bring him his food and whatnot throughout the day, but he stayed put.
And when was the last time you saw him?
We checked in a few hours ago. right before Endrick was found, he was sitting there fine when we looked towards his tent.
Yeah, very well. That doesn't really, at least that clears his name for the most part.
Not necessarily.
You know what? It's
I'll wait till you come back.
out of character. It's not 100%, but if they've checked in right before he was murdered, what's the distance between the place where Endrick was staying and
True.
the cottage was staying? Like, it seemed like a bit of a walk.
So at this point, the guard says, unless there's anything else, I really must get to the front gate.
Oh, no. I would ask him that, and then once that's all they tell me, it's like, okay, I'll thank him and say, it's too bad we couldn't stop the assassin before this happened, and that's it. And I would head back to the tent.
Okay.
So how big are tieflings, out of curiosity?
Human size.
Human-sized? Okay, so this body could be one of the cultural aliens, the
Washun.
Washun. Thank you.
Probably unlikely. Don't tieflings have a natural resistance to fire?
See,
See, I didn't know that. Never met a tiefling. So it's probably not them, which would maybe point us at one of the slaves. It would have been fairly easy to slip into camp and replace one of the slaves, and to just play that role for a little while.
It would have also been easy for the slaves to slip away and take the place of 2 guards.
Indeed. But I only saw one person escaping. So there may have been more than one escape route, or so many.
Who found the body first?
The body of Hendrix? I do not know. It was a bit confusing. The shouting started when I was still up on the roof, so he'd been discovered.
I has idea.
Fioras?
We are listening.
Oh, I'm gonna start walking back, and while I'm walking back, I'm going to have this like a light bulb go off in my head. So, let me know when I'm close to the tent.
You are close to the tent.
I'm gonna find a nice remote place between the tents and transform into Endrick myself.
Using your alter self spell, I'm guessing?
Disguise self, unfortunately. I don't have alter self.
Not you.
I wouldn't. Oh, I wouldn't.
Whatever.
We think there's a noir assassin and you just turned into the person who just died.
So I'm gonna walk in. And I'm gonna walk in and like visibly angry and stomping essentially.
Point.
Now one of you assholes try to kill me in my sleep.
Make
Do we have
a deception check.
What's going on? I'm
It's
scared.
like, I'm waiting for him to see what they were. I'm actually also like waiting. Deception, and oof. 13's not terrible, but what happens?
And I'm going to be, as soon as I see him, knowing that he does have this ability, I'm going to look very closely at everybody else, at all the people from the tents, just to catch initial reactions, even if the deception doesn't hold.
Ooh, can I help with that? We
Yeah.
can kind of gauge
Go ahead and
their
make
reaction.
perception checks.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, for them to realize it's an illusion, they would have to. Well, if you want to go by game mechanics, they have to pass.
Actually, why don't... Oh, go ahead.
your thing? Okay.
Oh, okay. Why don't I aid you, Leska? Because you're probably better at it.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
Try though.
In any case, I will shift and actually sniff Fiora's, trying to figure out who in the world this actually is. And I'm sure I will, unless his scent has changed, I'll quickly identify it and then I'll back off.
Yeah. You know who it's.
Yeah.
You know it's Fiora's.
And I'll shapeshift to human and I'll react. Endrick, it's a miracle.
It's like,
Modern medicine. What a miracle.
You were so yes, you were so badly wounded, but you've returned to us. The healers were successful.
the cleric did an amazing job. And I would point to Leska. The cleric did an amazing job. However,
Yeah. What can I say? All in day's work.
And Merrick, are you going to? You're not going to roll, or you're just going to aid Leska, or?
Sure. I'll go ahead and roll myself. I was going to stay, but
I don't look like I know what I'm really doing.
if you help somebody, you give them advantage, essentially.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's why he said you should roll twice, because you have a better modifier.
Oh,
Leska, go ahead and roll again.
Okay.
And we'll
Yeah,
take
when
the
you
higher
use
two.
the help function, you're
nice.
giving someone advantage.
It's a bit
Okay.
better. Yeah.
15. So Leska, as you're watching the group, I'm guessing you're keeping an eye on either on the Oceptions mostly, and then the maybe the Washoon, or you can tell me, who are you watching more?
Definitely the Exceptions. And I think the Washoon would be good just because I don't think we're very fond of it.
Okay. When Endrick, quote unquote Endrick, which is actually Fiora, steps into view and makes his little speech, you manage to catch out of the corner of your eye the Oception slaves. At first sight of him, seemed really shocked, but then almost immediately
Composed.
snap back to a very stoic face.
Okay.
Everyone else is just kind of like, what? Like, really, like, more confused than anything. Because something to keep in mind, these people woke up to you guys coming in, a body burning in the middle of their camp, and then were asked to all be sniffed. So they're pretty disoriented.
Right. Anybody who has a coherent reaction to that is somebody of interest to us. Like anybody who's having an actual, like, non-confused reaction to any aspect of that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna walk in. I'm gonna say, finish after this is going on. I'm gonna continue. I have a little 30-second blurb, I'd say, roughly.
Okay.
Let me know when everyone's done.
Yeah. I would want to catch the Bard's Eye, because he could telepathically tell everyone what's going on. I could catch his attention and,
Yeah. Actually, I forgot that. I forgot that I could do do I have to have line of sight with somebody to do telepathy, or just know that you're within the area?
Pretty much if you know they're within the area, you can do it. Like,
Probably on the way in, I would be like, heads up, guys, I'm coming in.
Right.
okay. But now I'm going to say this is the next few lines of conversation you guys have are all in your head. So go ahead and relay any messages you want to right now.
I would
Decide on your plan
basically
of action.
explain their reaction. And kind of, my gut feeling is the slaves. And he might be working for the Reception Master. I don't know. Maybe. I assume so.
It's like, I know it's say keep your eyes open. I'm going to entice him a little bit more. I'm about to stir the honey pot here.
Got it.
I meant to say beehive, but yeah, honey pot.
I mean, you could stir a honey pot. I don't know what it'll accomplish, but
Make it more honeyed. I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna start stomping back and forth. It's like, I didn't get a good look at you. You caught me while my guard was down. However, we have your dagger. We have your poison. We have your footprints in the mud. It's only a matter of time once the clerics show up. We can locate creature. You won't get too far. So, if we have to find you, it's going to be that much worse. And then once stand kind of with a very aggressive attitude, at the whole crowd of them. And now I'm going to do a perception check to see if do I spot any obscurity amongst the crowd.
Go ahead and roll perception.
Wish I had more bardic inspiration.
Well, and I get that at this point we're all paying attention to the crowd, probably.
Actually, I forgot. I gave Charity bardic inspiration, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Damn. Oh well. That's right.
All right. Fioris, you don't really spot anything. If anyone else wants to make perception checks at this speech, you are more than welcome to.
Fail.
Oh,
17.
nice.
Oh wait, no, I succeeded by 1, but you succeeded by more than me, so.
We super succeed.
Gust and Leska, you both notice that the slaves they start sweating. It's not really a hot day. They're looking nervous. They're twitching a little bit. And you see they're starting to slowly inch back a little bit.
So over the mind link, I will let everyone know if we can speak to them. I should be able to catch any lies that they tell just from the timbre of their voice. If we don't think we have enough information yet. Otherwise, I suggest that we take those 2 captive immediately.
So wait, you guys are telling me that you think it's the orcs, huh?
Not the orcs, the slaves.
The exception slaves.
The slaves.
The exception slaves, and I'm not sure if the
While I'm
exception.
standing there in front of everybody, then while they're talking to me, I'm gonna cut them off. I'm gonna cut off my psychic link as soon as they say that, and I'm going to redirect my psychic link to the slaves. As long as they speak common or silver and whatever it is.
Solarian.
That one. Yeah, that thing.
And I'm gonna ready to cast grease in case they try and make a break for it.
And I'm going to circle around sort of behind the crowd so that there's somebody flanking in case somebody makes a break for it or whatever. So.
Okay. So you guys are going to confront them then?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna switch my psychic link over to the slaves rather, and be like, they were sizable. And you were sizable, and you could see in the dark. I know it was you, and I'm gonna start laughing in their head.
At this point, you hear a response. You may have found a samurai scum, but you'll not get out of here alive. And at this point, you guys see the slave faces morph and change into that of visibly a noir. So to kind of note the difference between like a noir and a regular person, noir have what look almost like a tribal tattoos, only they're constantly swirling on their skin.
Mm-hmm.
So there's these dark
Shifting, swirling
swirls.
shadows.
Yeah.
And they're unredeemably evil.
All right.
Arguable.
Hey!
Well, it looks like it's time for us to do our job.
It's clobbered time.
At that, though, I think I'm going to end tonight's session on that note, and we will pick up for actual play next week during that, and I'll leave the last hour or so to kind of go over what we covered, have you guys ask any questions you have of me, Rachel, and Brad for the setting or your characters or anything, your initial thoughts on playing in the setting so far.
All right.
So I'll pitch it back over to you guys for discussion.
So yes, I have to get the feel for the Amari, because telepathy is awesome. It's really limited by the language thing though, which is kind of a balancing point until I get tongues, and then I can just cast tongues on myself and everyone's screwed.
I'm going to make sure that I'm thinking in an obscure language.
I'm going to develop my own cipher for my brain.
Yeah, right? No, you can't read my thoughts. They're encrypted.
Yeah, and then I'm
Exactly.
gonna the feat keen mind. So not keen mind. The languages one, where I can create and decipher languages.
Oh, right. There you go.
Yeah.
So I'm having fun playing the character so far, for sure.
Yeah, me too.
I
You
think
seem
obviously-
to really get the feel of it, definitely. I mean, you guys are all really, really good. So
Oh, thank you.
had a good time.
I did too. I had a very, very good time. So I'm looking forward to next week.
Yeah, I'm trying not to steal the spotlight because I know I can get kind of intense.
But it's good. You're the bard. You're totally the
Yeah.
face,
Makes sense.
and you played it to the hilt. And I had so much fun watching you do Fiora's.
Yeah, I mean, your antics were a lot of fun. It's stuff that we see at our table a lot, and we love that stuff. So
I try to make a fun character. You can ask Brad. Even my cleric that most people play so boringly is like,
Something, yeah. A little
yeah,
different.
Joe knows more about 5e than the rest of us, I would say, which is probably why he's DMing this whole thing. We played mostly Pathfinder up until 5e launched. So but we haven't been playing so much while we've been working on the setting. But we've been testing these modules and stuff like that. So getting back into it. But the 5e rule questions would probably go to either Joe or Brad.
yeah, Brad is very knowledgeable, and I'm pretty knowledgeable as well, if not to boast.
That's fine.
Well, 5e makes it easy to learn, so it's not really that difficult to
Yeah.
really jump in and learn everything quickly.
Yeah, and we had these races statted out for Pathfinder first, which was a lot easier based on their guide for creating races. So we had to transfer maybe some of the cooler, weirder things we had into 5e. And I think some of it might be subject to change based on these feedbacks. But this was kind of the template we were working with for the time being.
Yeah, if you have any terms in there that you're like, well, that's not a 5th edition thing, it's because it was copied from Pathfinder and we missed a rule change or something. So
if you look over the crunch or something and want to throw suggestions or thoughts, because you guys know 5e pretty well, feel free.
Alright. There were some minor things I caught that were incorrect, but it's not gonna break the game.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the inspiration behind the various races because they're really, I think, a lot more flavorful than the standard.
Well, I want to say that pretty much everything that gets added to the setting has a long-standing causation behind it. Things aren't just thrown in because they're cool.
Mhm.
So they have to fit in some way, and they have to make sense, and they have to exist in the world as they should. So Noir is actually one of our later editions, but probably my favorite. And then Eldera got thrown in when we threw in Eldria, which is what they're composed of. And Amorai are actually one of our longest custom races.
They're my baby, so I have a personal attachment with Amorai
Yeah,
and the continent that they mostly live on.
I like the Amorai story. I like how they are. I love telepathy, obviously. However, I think they are way OP. Like,
Well, in what manner?
all right, I was about to get to that. Their caching ability, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is essentially a minor bag of holding, a racial minor bag of holding.
Well, it's a portable hole, actually. It's not even a
Exactly.
bag of holding.
Yeah, well, essentially, if you want to put it into items terms,
Right.
like a bag of
Hole is an old D&D item. You actually could carry around a magical hole that you just threw on something and you can reach into
Love
your
the
pocket.
portable hole. Portable holes.
Yeah.
So many tricks.
One of the biggest weaknesses for wizards, for example, is their strength. Go figure. A wizard's biggest weakness is his muscles. You are now essentially giving a wizard the ability, because most wizards get their intelligence up to 20, and by
Okay.
the rules at level 20, by the rule that you say at level 20, a wizard can hold a 100-pound item.
No, I
At
think
level 20, I don't think weight should be a problem for wizards anymore.
Yeah.
that is true. That is true. But even at level 1, they can hold a 25-pound item. Up
Yep.
top. Even at level 1, they can hold a 25-pound item with their mind, essentially, with no concentration, with no negative effect.
Except you gain no other racial abilities that would be considered combat useful.
It's not combat useful. Not all racial traits are combat.
Actually, most of the Amorais aren't. If you look at all their current rule set in 5e, most of their stuff is not combat useful.
Yeah. I'm saying, like, telepathy, I'm using the hell out of it. I love it. I don't know how I feel how that is as a racial ability. I like it. The minor bag of holding effect, though, is what I think is kind of like, yeah, that's way high up on there.
It does seem that that these guys would end up being masterminds, kind of they would end up being in charge of lots of folks simply because of the telepathy combined with these other abilities. Like they can always pull a weapon out of thin air if they need to.
True, but at the same time, if you're relying on your caching to hold a weapon, you probably already have the strength to hold it anyway.
It's not so much the weapon effect, actually, that
It's
I'm
the
concerned about.
pulling it out of nowhere that's the big deal.
You could hide anything.
We
Spell
did
scroll.
kind of work with the orbs and that you have a physical representation of what's in your cache.
Yeah.
So
We
that kind of, you can make a sleight of hand check, grab it.
Or a
so-
steel check to take whatever it is that may be in there.
Yeah,
this
so-
time.
Okay, so it's not actually like extra dimensional completely.
No, you can physically interact with it. It's essentially no different than having the item on you.
Can
Okay.
can
Floating
another
around your head.
person take it from you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Simply
like a
by
little
touching
light
it,
floating
it
around
just,
your
like,
head.
Release whatever's in there.
All right. Well, hypothetically,
If you're knocked unconscious, everything in your cache.
just drops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like in a video game. If an Amorai goes down, literally.
All their
See, it's useful at low levels, which is nice. It's one of those like fluff things. That, yeah, this is really cool until you hit level 5, and you should already have all the items that let you do this already.
5e, D&D 5e at least, is a very, generally speaking, low magic game, which is why like the highest tier item is a +3 item.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between 5e and like 4 and 3.5.
It's a bit of a change in Pathfinder. Yeah.
Here's one thing,
We
yeah.
have to address in transitioning to 5e because it's magic-wise, it is very different from Pathfinder, where these races are from.
Yeah, and it is, kind of disappointing to try to work with that. So it could be a little tough.
Actually, one of their Pathfinder abilities that we fell in love with doesn't even exist in 5th edition.
Which is
In Pathfinder, they have the ability once per day to add a 1d6 to any d20 roll. A bastion of thought. Essentially, you
Yeah, that's
collect your
cool.
thoughts and then think of it as like a Sherlock kind of thing, where they align everything correctly, figure it out, and then get an extra 1d6 on a roll. But in 5th edition, you really can't transfer that over because it was entirely replaced by inspiration. And giving them free inspiration once per day is a little overpowered.
I don't think so. Is that once per day? Like, I mean, rogues have luck. I mean, not rogues. Halflings have luck as a racial thing. Which every time they roll a 1, they can re-roll their dice.
We might look at swapping those two then, if it works out. We'll
Another
definitely try different combinations, I know.
Another suggestion I had, though, was since the Amorai are like mental masters, essentially, giving them like a shield effect, a spell shield.
That's a good idea. And I think Wizards
Actually-
doing more with psionics in 5e is going to help give us a better template and some stuff to work with. Because right now there's just really not much, and the base of them is really psionic in mind. So.
You can give them like a shield effect and give them X number of times a day based on their intelligence modifier, minimum 1.
All this stuff, but the bag of holding, that's overpowered.
Well, I mean, let's face it, shield spell is like every wizard's go-to defensive spell. So
At level 1, you'll give an extra 3 shields, which will, yeah, okay. Maybe that is a little power when I think about it. Maybe a scaling shield, like a +1, +2, up to +5 at level 20.
I mean, theoretically, one of the big things we could change with caching is just change how its weight works.
I would say change its size limitation.
Yeah.
Because
Size?
Size limitation.
Okay.
Because off the top of my head, as long as it's under at level, like again, hypothetical, level 20, 120 pounds. As long as it's under 120 pounds, it can be any size, and you can cache it.
So you could put a halfling in there. Yeah, what happens if a living thing gets cached?
You can only cache inanimate objects.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that was specified or
Well,
not.
Yeah, it's like because you can cache people essentially at that point.
Yeah,
So-
no.
Well, I mean, theoretically, you could put people in a bag of holding too, but it usually doesn't end well.
Well, they have 10 minutes of air.
Well, so I'm less concerned now that I understand the power a little better. Since you can see that they're concealing something, you can take the thing they're concealing. It's not that particular power isn't.
Well,
really
it also helps because let's say that I'm an Amarai and I've had a sword cached for weeks. I only have 1 orb. If I pick up another item and cache it, I now have 2, and 1 is much brighter than the other. So
Right.
you know that I just picked something up and cached it. So you
Oh,
can literally just ask me to drop it, or
The description says after an hour they meld into 1 orb.
yes.
So yeah,
Time frame could change.
So is it limited just by weight or weight and size?
It's just by weight.
Okay. So you could have like 20 or 120 pounds of feathers. For an extra-
Yeah, like 160
Theoretically, yes.
feathers.
You can
Yes.
fill a room with feathers if you really want to.
that would
I
be
It's
can
that
see
much
this
more
for
comical
this.
when the Amarai gets knocked unconscious.
Yeah. It's banana peels. We're going to load them up with banana peels.
120 pounds of confetti.
Yes, confetti is good.
Screw it.
Oh, fireworks just on the edge of exploding. Cache them and then.
But yeah, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that's really crazy right now. I mean, what, a wizard flying around with a 120-pound boulder dropping in on someone's head? That's not really a big deal, but hey. Yeah,
That's
no,
a creative use.
That's
That takes effort to find
If
that
somebody-
boulder.
yeah.
well, yeah, actually, I guess it's not really a boulder. 125 pounds. It's just like a big rock.
A big rock, yeah.
It's still going to hurt when it lands.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
This
Then again, you could always drop the halfling.
But if they each can fly around, they're probably already substantially powerful.
Right.
well, fly is a level. You get fly as a racial thing, and fly is a level 5 character spell.
So you can carry him.
level 3.
He can cache something and then he can drop it in the air.
What is let me look at the limits on here.
combos?
To be fair with the Visar's ability to fly, 5e does have Arakakra. They are a flying race. And there is a disclaimer with them. We'll include it with the Visar too.
Which
It's
no
up to
one
your
allows.
discretion to allow a flying character.
Mhm.
Obviously, you'll gain advantages in some situations. However, if you're in a cave, flying does nothing for you. So it's a situational advantage, and it is something that we are
Listen,
going to
Stan.
obviously put because flying is such a wild card.
Yeah, like very few things get a natural flying. Like my cleric at level 17 gets a natural fly. It's just a magical flying because he's a Tempest Domain cleric. And that's only outdoors also.
So the flying nun was level 17. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, and then Dragonborn get wings at level 14. That's a class thing. I think that's the only 2 class things that get fly.
Class-wise, yeah.
That's why, yeah, off the top of my head, like almost no one ever allows Eric Cochran. Like they're not even Wizards of the Coast made them, and they're not even allowed at the league games, which is hilarious, by the way. Yeah, I don't know. I personally hate them. I'm not a big fan personally of anything with wings. Like if you're as a playable character, personally. So that's I don't know. I don't know how that would affect the game mostly.
Another thing we did to try and limit that is a lot of the times when something flies, its fly speed is like 60 feet or something really, really fast. We try and keep the Visar's fly speed equal to their walking speed, if not
Can they hover?
slower. I might venture to say we could try at some point.
Yeah,
So
can
that
they-
way you can get the advantage of flying, but you can't go as fast.
That would be a
It's
good
a
balancer,
balance,
actually.
Yeah.
You know.
Can they hover? Is my question.
Does 5e go into that?
Yeah, that's something I'm not quite sure.
I don't think it does.
Right.
I don't think 5e goes into the rules for flying because I think they wanted to get away from like the. I'm going to argue with my DM for 45 minutes to determine the minimum amount I can move.
Well, that's one of the things. Like, there's very few things that fly in 5e, unless you're like a bird, or you cast a fly spell, or you're one of the two pre-mentioned things. There's very few things that can fly.
Well, a
That's
bunch of magic items. Also,
That's
Yeah.
true.
Well, okay, yeah, cast a spell.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So that's the only complaint I have. Otherwise, it's not even a complaint. It's like the negatives of everything. Everything else I like so far.
Cool.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Brad, I'm actually curious what you thought of the Eldera. They're, in my opinion, one of the harder races to kind of wrap your mind around what they are. I was wondering, what's your first opinion?
Oh, I think the flavor is awesome. I think they're really cool. In terms of, I mean, I don't know if I was, like doing it correctly as far as, what you guys had in mind. I'm curious.
I would say you were doing a
You're
very
pretty spot on.
Okay, cool.
I mean, you all seem to pick up the gist of things really quickly, which is comforting on our end to know that we at least got, the fluff and the feel of everything right, even if some of the abilities may need to.
Right. The general character, the general races are lots of fun. I mean, I really like. Yeah.
Oh, they're definitely fun. Yeah.
Sorry.
I have
That's our
a
purpose here.
I have a nerd bone. Anything with telepathy, I will use to the most I can.
It's funny because I used to be like that, but then I steered clear of Noir. I don't know why, or of Amarai.
Probably
I don't know
because
why.
I stole them from you.
A little.
I had zero clue that the Amarai had telepathy until Joe gave me the character sheet. After he originally gave me a Balsar?
Basar.
Basar Bard. Yeah, he gave me a Basar Bard. I was like, oh, this thing has wings now. I want to try out this other one. That's like the diplomatic smart guys. And like, oh my god, it has telepathy.
Well, so I also liked the fact that yes, the diplomat had a huge role to play in this. That it was like one of the things that's often lacking in D&D games is simply, they're pretty one-dimensional in terms of everything is solved with the same hammer, basically.
Yeah, that won't work in this setting. A large amount of the the background of the setting itself revolves around, intrigue, political plots. Like, there are things you're going to have to talk to people about. You can't just walk into a noble's office and kill him and expect everything to be just fine when you try to leave. On the flip side of that, you still do have, like dungeons to crawl and strongholds to conquer and whatnot, but a lot of the setting was built around like living in the world, not just interacting with it.
And some groups are all about that. They just hack and slash, and other groups can spend 3 sessions in a city. So we want to really be able to cater to both of those.
Yeah, to encompass. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I like that there's a good mix in the scenario so far.
Yes, exactly. I liked having a little taste of many different things going on.
I try to write my adventures to have a good mix.
Mm-hmm.
Usually I throw in some puzzles too, but this particular scenario didn't. call for it.
Yeah.
Puzzles were always my least. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brad and Rachel have dealt with puzzles of mine before.
Right.
you.
Sometimes the prefab scenarios by Wizards and Pathfinder and the organized play are very straightforward, and there's really not a whole lot there. So
Well,
I mean, and I don't know if you guys have ever played Legend of the Five Rings, but they're extremely detailed. The setting is amazing. The modules are really, really detailed. And we played a lot of those at Gen Con. And I think they're kind of doing what we're trying to do in a way. So it was a lot of fun.
Do they have like this sort of the ongoing world thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's
Somewhat.
Car Wars was the first, like that's the closest analog I can think of, because they did have an advancing world. You know, every year things went forward and the results of the tournaments were recorded as history of the world and so forth. So that was one of the things I liked about it and sort of missed when that died years and years and years and years ago.
Yeah. And it's the world we've played in, me for 6 years, Brad and Frank for much longer. So there's a lot there. We have a lot.
Lots of material. Awesome. Yeah. Plenty to publish over time.
Yes,
definitely.
Over time.
And no one can say so.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, if you have any questions on anything in particular, you could send them our way or prepare them if you think of something in the next couple of days, and we could kind of, I don't know, prepare or have an agenda. If you guys
save them up.
For sure.
Monday.
Well, and I'm going to get more familiar with the materials that are up on the page. Like, I only skimmed the history and stuff. And I'll try and stop me from giving you feedback.
Well, we welcome feedback.
Yeah.
Small alteration to what I said earlier. Just give them the shield spell like once a day at level 1, 2 at level 10, and 3 at level 20. And that's like it recharges per long rest. I mean, Goliaths get a D12 plus con resist damage every short rest. Orcs have survivability once a day. Like if they get hit for 1,000 damage, they go to 1 HP instead of 0. So,
Okay, that's a good thing to look at.
it's an idea. Or you can make shield per short rest, but I think a shield per short rest might be too much.
Yeah, that's a little
It
powerful.
sounds a little too much.
Yeah, so like shield once a day is level 1 is fine.
We tried to give a lot of our races things that you wouldn't necessarily use in combat, just to essentially do what you're doing, which is just stir your mind and think outside the box, I guess. Stop thinking in numbers and start thinking in how can I use this? Because yes, caching is pretty cool, but really, how often is it going to really come up?
Right.
But if you come up with one player who happens to think of a really cool way to use caching, that only brings more stuff to your game.
Then like I said, the only thing I have with caching is I forgot the part that everybody can see the orb flowing around your head. Does everybody know what the orb actually signifies? Is that a common thing?
Yes, well, pretty much every anime would have one.
Okay.
I have so much on them, flavor and rating wise. So.
And then think about the flip side of that. What if you're a rogue Amurai? Well, you're not really hiding if there's a glowing light above your head.
Does it give off light?
It's also pretty obvious, your disguise skill, if you had anything cached, would automatically fail.
Yeah.
Because you're a human guard, but that glowing orb tells me you are not human.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, I can see that.
So I think the classes that stand to benefit the most from it, in theory, probably wouldn't in the actual gameplay.
Wizards definitely would. I mean, the +2 to
Yeah,
intelligence. Sorcerers, I could see maybe. Sorcerers, paladins, eldritch knights. I can see a few classes benefiting from it. Like, intelligence is one of those stats that unfortunately are just the least used for anything.
For 5e especially. Yeah.
5e.
I love my int.
The only thing that ever works out for int is wizards. And that's really it. And mind flayers that I can think of. There's 3.
Don't talk to me about mind flayers.
There's
Can I be
3
a mind player, guys?
Oh, yeah.
Actually, mind flayers are copyrighted by Wizards of the Coast.
Oh.
So we
I can
cannot
think of 3
publish them.
that will damage your intelligence in somehow, some way, and 4 spells. So not very much.
That's also another thing to keep in mind is what happens if you do take intelligence damage while you have something cached. All of a sudden you're just dropping things everywhere. I hope I didn't need that.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
I mean, the sleep spell automatically makes him drop everything, and that's a level 1 common ability. I mean, there's tons of ways to make you drop what you have, or at the very least, figure out what you have. But so we tried to make it less useful than a bag of holding, but still cool. And I think we're still trying to find that medium with 5e. With Pathfinder, it was super easy.
The way they did race points and everything.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, like, if you have to go in someplace naked, for example, hypothetically, just swim through something.
What kind of campaigns are you playing?
I play some weird ones.
Well, our weekly game is late at night.
Yeah.
That's true.
I also play another campaign called Spiritfall, where I am a cannibalistic Zodiac priest, modern-day paladin.
Oh, wow.
So that gives you an idea what kind of characters I play. They're usually obtuse. Let's see. I'm trying to think. Okay, now that you're explaining, it doesn't seem as useful, but I'm trying to think of how to maybe tweak it just a little bit if it needs any at all. Maybe after the next.
I think one of the big things we could do is probably while still basing it on intelligence, maybe divide it by 4 or half it. At that point, the numbers don't necessarily get ridiculous, or keep it at intelligence and then only gain 1 pound per level. I mean, there's a lot of ways we could juggle that to make it work.
Kind of funny, oh yeah, I'm holding a whole arsenal of the party in case we encounter anything,
But if it only gets up to 120 pounds at 20th level, then it doesn't sound like it is likely to get out of hand.
Yeah.
That's not too much. I mean, a single longsword weighs plenty, so...
Yeah, at level 1 you could carry, I think, at most 3 longswords. So, I mean, you're not really carrying too much up there.
Yeah. A minor bag of holding. Just thinking, okay. I guess I have to play test it. It's listening to it, a minor bag of holding sounds like way OP.
Mm-hmm. No, I get where you're coming from. We get it, yeah. We'll talk about it, definitely.
Yeah, maybe some play testing and it's dumb.
Oh,
Yeah.
that'll definitely be one of the things that we do with all the Kickstarter groups and the backers that we have is the races will be rolled out early, and then everybody will be able to play test them and give us feedback and whatnot. So what you end up with playing right now might not be what's in the final book, but it'll be very similar still.
You guys are lucky. You're kind of serving as part of the less common first wave of playtesting, so
Early adopters.
it's cool to get your feedback from all the stuff we've been working on, because we haven't really heard it from any outside sources yet. You guys are the first outsiders to really get your hands on any of the races and
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
get some action.
I'm honored.
So,
Yeah, we were really thrilled about doing this because we've never done anything like this before. And I stream, and I don't think Joe or Brad does. Just other games like Battlefield and random games. But I didn't know that streaming D&D was such a big thing.
That's
So
true.
I think that's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I love that Twitch has added both Dungeons and Dragons, official support as well as for Roll20.
I think the stream, it looks really good. I didn't know you could do that. I somehow missed the boat on all that.
So I'm curious, how big a part are those airships in the setting?
They're very important.
Okay.
The current political stability depends on them to survive. So there are factions within the airships. The Vata Sentinels are one of them. Then we have Sky Pirates, and then individuals who don't necessarily follow either that we call outlaws.
Let's be outlaws, guys.
That's a completely legitimate option.
So outlaws don't have to pay standard taxes and a bunch of other things. Don't have to abide by the normal Sentinel rules, but they don't gain their protection.
Mhm.
You immediately come with a lot of enemies. There's some downsides, but it's
I imagine. It just sounds like fun to have your own airship and be able to pilot it wherever you want.
yeah.
I do have another question regarding telepathy. How come people know that you're communicating with them? Like how?
What do you mean?
Like if you link with somebody, right? If you start speaking into their mind, how do they know it's you?
Maybe they see your image, or
There's really a couple ways to handle that, but one of the things we wanted to avoid was essentially you driving NPCs crazy.
Mhm.
Because that's usually the first thing that happens when a PC gets telepathy. They're like, I'm just going to mess with everybody in town until everybody else kills each other, so let's see what happens. So, in reality, while they don't see you, they know who it is that's speaking to them. So your general location and I guess what you would look like if they could see you.
Yeah,
They would recognize
Like
you
a
at
sense
a
of
mental level.
Yeah, I was asking Joe. So hypothetically, if I was a rogue, or just a wizard, whatever, I could cast invisibility, a bard, and snuck into someone's house and started speaking into the mind. How would they know it was me?
Well, they wouldn't necessarily know it was you at that point because you're hiding yourself, so stealth would come into that. I guess you would think of it like it'd be the same thing as like you're whispering to them on the other side of a wall. They might not necessarily know it's you, but they know where you generally are, and stuff like that.
So I'm going to ask this question then. If I took the actor feat and paired it with telepathy, and I could mimic someone else's voice perfectly,
Yes.
I think it was someone
The
else.
answer to your question is yes.
Okay.
yeah. See, I think that's dangerous
that's-
and kind of threatens to.
That's one of those you're already taking feats to do that. So why would I prevent you from doing something you could do normally anyway?
Well, with telepathy, though, I mean it's already extremely powerful. I think having it be very identifiable is an almost necessary limitation.
I think that you have to be within 25 feet helps to limit it.
Oh, okay.
It's not like it's a guy
Okay,
on the
range.
other side of town. It's
Gotcha.
one person
Okay.
at a time.
Very short range.
Yeah, it's short range.
You also have to remember that the person on the other side of the link can shut that link down.
Oh,
To
good.
prevent
Okay,
you
so
from
it's
talking to them.
Oh, okay.
So if
Okay.
you sneak into someone's room at night and you're sending them messages, they can be like, "Go away," and they won't
Right,
get the message
and that's
anymore.
Okay, well, with the knowing that stuff now, once again, I'm like, okay, that's way more balanced than I was.
And it's telepathy, not telepathy plus mind reading.
Correct.
Yeah, it's just minor telepathy.
Like the warlock telepathy is a one-way communication. You can't receive messages back, but you can constantly bombard other people with thoughts. And you don't see people trying to drive everybody insane too often.
Yeah, I think we want ours to be consensual, so to speak.
Yeah.
Most of the time when you see it at tables, it's just called mind raping.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
generally.
Yeah. And I think the greatest utility it has is probably in our party. Although it is still one person at a time, so you can't just have like a giant party chat. But I noticed in games it's so kind of redundant where you're in the middle of interrogating someone and everyone leaves the room, comes back. Like I haven't ran into an issue where it's really game breaking within a party because people are already doing that. Like it's no one really, I don't know.
I mean, you can use the same. Rogues get the ability to Thieves' Camp, which allows them to communicate secretly with other members of rogues and whatnot. So there's tons of ways to communicate without anybody else knowing, stuff like that. So
The one-on-one thing makes it a bit better than like 6 people having a party up in there. So
yes, he's not a radio beacon. That is something that we have to specify.
yeah, it takes time to relay messages, and it's probably mentally taxing, I would imagine.
Yeah. Okay, so all of that. Yeah,
So that
seems
answers my questions, I think, for telepathy and everything else.
Okay. Do you guys have any questions about the setting itself?
What are the Zodiacs?
They are the creators of the universe.
Right, got that.
So from we'll say that you're a standard citizen of
Standard
Athos.
theology, yeah. That's common.
As far as the common person is concerned, they're merely like guiding spirits. They're not. You can't worship them and get spells. You can't. They won't interact directly with your life. But you are guided by the Zodiac that you were born under.
Okay.
In turn, however, there are Star-Called who, while the Zodiacs created fate and destiny, the Star-Called remain outside of that. So they gain magical abilities, and they no longer have to play by the rules, essentially. So they step out of the lines of fate and can do pretty much whatever they want.
A good way Brad once explained this to me is, imagine during someone's lifetime, they have like a set string that they have to follow. And no matter what they do, they're going to follow that string. If someone is star-called by the Zodiacs, they no longer have to follow their string. They can go off and do their own thing. And in doing so, they can cause kind of a ripple effect that can move other people's strings and shape the universe more than a normal person would.
Gotcha.
So that's a big part of the setting, is the Star-Called and the Zodiac giving that ability to people.
Does that have a game effect, or is it just sort of plot?
No, there's an entire Star-Called sigiled ability that we have introduced in both 5th edition and Pathfinder. The 5th edition one is still being worked on, but the Pathfinder one is pretty much completely done. In Pathfinder, it gives you minor magical abilities, usually things that you can't gain by casting spells or magical items. So I'm trying to think of one that is one of those abilities that we talked about. But on top of that, they also usually gain like skill bonuses and things like that.
So I kind of figured initially, just from reading the materials, that like all PCs would have these sigils because we're the ones who get to actually make decisions, unlike your typical NPC. That it was sort of a way of explaining why there are sort of two categories of people in the world.
That's actually one of the biggest hurdles that we had to jump over early in development is we don't like sticking people into a box. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to play in our setting, we don't want you to have to conform to our rules. So let's say you want to play somebody who isn't Star-Called. How does that affect you? How do you compare to the rest of the party? Essentially, how it works is there are Star-Called, which I just explained have sweet abilities and stuff, and then there are, I guess, Star-Called influenced individuals, where you'll get other kind of... Yes, they're the people whose strings have been changed, which is where the rest of the party would come into play. So if you don't want to play a Star-Called and you don't want to be part of a dynasty or be held responsible for your actions and all that stuff or be looked up to, you can just be a influenced individual, in which case you just play the game as normal, and there's another path for you. However, it's very generic, but you do get abilities that I guess you would say common individuals do not.
Yeah, we played with the idea of everyone being Star-Called, and there was a couple members of the dev team specifically that were like, what if I don't want to play someone that's been chosen by this? Or what if I want to play the guy who was just a farmer until last week and doesn't want to be special? So we want people to want to play Star-Called, definitely. It's a big appeal, it's unique, but we are going to give another path option for people that don't, because it should be there.
Yeah. Well, and I like the idea that, yes, the people who become entangled in, it's like I was supposed to be in a fatal accident when I was 15, but this guy saved me, and now I'm going to live this whole life that was never supposed to happen.
Yeah, and you may not even, it could be something so inconsequential. You don't even know.
They may have just, popped into your store one day and bought an item that then changed, butterfly affected your destiny.
Essentially,
it wasn't the item they were supposed to buy.
So we want it to matter and be a part of everyone's story, but not force them to take something or be something.
To be,
And a big thing that I know a lot of people will worry about initially is how this affects the game rules-wise and whatnot. And very simply, just to explain that, all we did is it's an optional rule set if you want to do the sigiled / unsigiled pass. They go on top of anything your character already gets. So basically, if your GM and group agree on doing the sigiled rules, you basically add one other little level to a character. So on top of choosing a class and a race, you can choose what sigil you have or if you're unsigiled. So just kind of on top of everything. Because I know that was a big worry during development, is how we were going to balance this with everything, which is ultimately
we've redone it like 7 times.
Put it on top. Make sure
It's always
like from scratch. Yeah.
But that's great for 5e, where it really can use an extra level of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, one more level of sort of world specificity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of customization, personally.
Mhm. Yeah, totally.
Me too.
That'll
And
definitely add an element.
To put this into perspective, there are 18 sigiled paths that you can take, all of which are different. And then there's the unsigiled path, the influence that you can take. So in total, we're adding 19 options for you to take. And they're not necessarily going to be something that, like, the DM's going to have to do homework for. It's just one of those things you write down on your character sheet, you put down what abilities you currently have, and that's it. It should be something very easy, something you can just pick up and go.
Right.
And I mean, some of it's really basic, like, I'm looking at the Pathfinder page here, but like, first, an early-ish ability, always move true north, which it's not that big of a deal, especially in Pathfinder.
But it's
a lot of it's fun stuff, like fun stuff.
Yeah. Like, that's a useful ability under the right circumstances, for sure.
And
Yes,
for
Sailor
role-playing
would,
the right character, yeah.
Yes, yeah. Well, and I like that, historically, a lot of super useful magical abilities would not have been flashy, would not have been, combat abilities. They would have been like, making sure your cow gives more milk or whatever.
Realistic magic.
Realistic magic, yes. I mean, and that's, that's mostly what hedge wizards or whatever would focus on, is like helping your neighbors do everyday stuff.
I also just realized that Theoris should have been in a dream state. Well, I guess I was drunk, so I passed out. Oh yeah, dream state.
At that point, you most likely would have dropped everything in your cache.
That's okay. We were around to pick it up.
Oh, he's drunk again.
You're so lucky. You can hold all your gold in your cache. You can literally be an explosion if you go down.
But then if somebody like hits you on the back of the head with a sap, you're gonna dump all your gold right into their hand.
So like I said, you're literally a loot explosion.
Yeah.
Unconscious. Flash, 120 pounds of gold.
You have your cache full of diamonds and just
spray everywhere.
Just spill out all over the floor.
Yeah. You survived the initial attack, but then you were trampled in the rush to get your diamonds.
This had to have happened to an important noble somewhere. I mean, this has to become canon.
Yes. Well, it can be, a historical incident that,
It's a lesson to young Amorai everywhere.
Right. Right. Or maybe it's just a story. Like, they've got some character that recurs in all their stories, Dudley Do Wrong, that
right.
Misuses his cash, and that's how they teach the children.
I completely love that.
Yeah. As you can tell, I like playing characters that are uncouth.
Yeah. Or does it a little differently, but I mean, you do it smoothly. That's part of the, even when you're being a drunken loud, it's blended,
My problem, which is something I've had to learn playing with people rather than just playing with myself, because, I give myself all the attention I need, is,
oh no.
I'm a bard in real life. I tell stories and sing in real life too.
There you go.
Actually, I do really. I have a lot of them. However, I digress. Back to the whole point of being a bard. I forget what the fuck I was gonna say.
Well,
Like
yeah.
all
I mean,
characters.
after giving yourself all the attention you need, the rest of it was hard to focus on.
Oh yeah, I had to learn the hard way that if I don't put myself in check, I end up taking a lot of the spotlight. So that's why I'll purposely like make myself leave and leave you guys to do your own thing. Because otherwise, it's like I'm a fucking light hog, like spotlight hog.
I have to do the same thing in terms of, like I just love to hear myself talk, so I have to like, make myself shut up and give everybody.
In my own games with these guys, I do that a lot.
I think everyone had a good moment to shine though tonight. You guys,
everybody did.
Good group.
Yeah, did have some. Yeah. Although Fiora's definitely got the spotlight, I don't mind that.
No, I think that was good. I think that fit
The
his
bard
character
should.
and our party. Yeah.
Mhm.
I tried to make it count where it counted.
Yes. Well, and that's just the social engineering. You are the social engineer of the group. I mean, that is what a bard does.
It's a learned skill for my old job. But I was like, when the soldiers were like all confused as to what the fuck to do, that's why I was like, is any of us a soldier? I was trying to push Brad D.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to like, Brad, like, Charity, go do your soldier thing. Rally the troops.
The reason I try to like stay out of that is like I want you guys to experience the world, and I already know what I'm in for. So I like watching people.
He doesn't usually get to be a player though. He usually DMs probably 96% of our campaigns, other than Joe's modules. So yeah, it's kind of weird because we don't get to play on the same side of the table pretty much ever.
Do you guys have any questions? Any other questions about the setting? Anything that caught your eye?
Nothing springs to mind yet.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sure more will come up.
Yep,
Okay,
exactly.
Do we have a time for next week? Are we getting back together to continue this?
Yeah.
Definitely, we should get back. Would the same time next week work for you guys?
Works
Yeah,
for
sure,
me.
that's fine.
Awesome.
Okay. And I don't know if I was the point of contact for this one, or Joe or Brad were.
Joe was.
Joe was. Okay.
I talked to
so many
Brad
people.
B quite a bit, so if
Well, you
anything
talked to
comes
me
up,
too.
yeah.
All right. Does anybody else have anything else for us, or do you want to just end it here and then we'll come back next Monday?
I guess end it here. But if you guys want to talk a little bit about the Kickstarter or anything like that, please feel free.
Okay. Well, the Kickstarter's over 50% of the way funded now. We just hit that goal today. We have more than 50% of our time left, so we're on schedule to hit funding, which is good. The Kickstarter itself, if you're not familiar with it, is to essentially publish Zodiac Empires as a campaign setting. It'll be a 300-page book, softcover at first. We have a stretch goal for hardcover if anybody is interested. Most people are. It'll contain all of our 14 nations, all 5 races, pretty much everything that has to do with the setting itself. So, if there's pretty much a lot of content in here with 300 pages, we tried to limit. It will cover both Pathfinder and 5th edition, which is good. Mostly because they're the 2 current, largest. We are thinking about adding a 3rd rule set yet, but we haven't decided what it is.
Hero system.
Everybody has some different ideas. Someone threw Savage Worlds at us. Joe wants Fantasy Age. We've got tons of options. It'll have all of our deities, all the zodiacs, the rules for Star Called, all the background information that goes with that, the 10 major organizations and 30 plus minor, all the rules for creating your own custom airships and airship combat. We're also releasing with that Leyline Chronicles, which is essentially a campaign tracking application, a little like Roll20, but not more like this is how you play, but this will keep track of all the information that goes along with running your campaigns. And one of the big reasons why we wanted to end up publishing this is we've had a lot of fun in Zodiac Empires. We've had essentially a lot of time, and we built a pretty big setting, and we think it's time that the rest of the community had the chance to get their hands in it and actually make decisions. So, like you mentioned earlier with campaign settings that evolve over time, this one will do that, and it won't be on a pre-programmed path. So, as players play in it and as groups experience the world, they get to make the decisions that eventually unravel the future as we know it.
Yeah, I like that aspect a lot. I like that. But
We have a lot of great artwork. We've got a lot of add-ons. We've got propaganda posters, travel posters, dice, like the whole nine for everybody who wants to experience the world as they should. And I think I just cut one of you off, and I'm sorry.
No, not a bit. I don't even remember what I was going to say. Actually. So yeah, I'm excited to be playing around with this. And like I said before, I'm looking forward to playing again next Monday.
Us too.
All right. Well,
So, see you guys then.
Yep. See you next Monday.
sounds good. All right. Take care, everybody.
Email if anything changes, Brad B.
Yep,
I'm
feel
sorry?
free to
Oh.
hit us up on social media
Yeah.
or talk to us during the week, add us to whatever. Go for it.
Okay.
You guys are cool.
If anything changes, let Joe know, or I guess any of us really.
Okay.
Probably Joe.
Good deal.
If you tell Brad, he'll tell me. Like, he's my DM on Saturdays.
Oh, okay.
And at some point, I'll probably be DMing once my life schedule settles out.
Stupid life.
Yeah, I can. I
Hopefully-
also get my updates from Brad. So
Okay.
Oh, and to anybody watching, please please subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at rpglory.com.
Do it.
Yes. If anybody else wants to give out their Twitter to, by all means, go ahead.
Oh, my text line. I think you can see it in the chat window at the bottom there, so people could pick
Yeah.
it there if they wanted to.
Okay.
I would have to be on Twitter and the Facebooks and all that. So,
Yeah, I'm not on Twitter.
yeah, I am a techno hermit. I love technology. I love the internet, but I just don't want. I don't know.
Computers are magic born boxes to me, honestly.
Yeah.
I didn't have a Twitter until about 4 months ago, maybe.
Mm.
I never got it, but I feel like it's necessary.
Right. It's yes. I feel really like a Luddite. You know. I feel like
Yeah.
so backwards, and yet I don't know. It seems like an addiction to me. I don't. You know. I look at people Facebooking, and it's like crack.
As I'm texting.
Hmm?
As I'm texting.
As you're texting, I'm updating Facebook with yeah. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So I'll see
Everybody
you
have a
all,
good
next Monday at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. The next live show would be Hase Iona's Monday to Extraordinary, which will be on at 8 a.m. Wednesday Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. And I think that's it.
Excellent.
Have a good one, everybody.
All right.
Have a
You
good
too.
day.
Bye, everybody.
Later.